See, Harrison, big fan of Christian Management Co. Yeah, wish I had to give you anxiety. This is gonna be a good one. I hope you guys are as hyped as I am. We just talked about both players a little bit, what I know from both players, and like I said, this is gonna be a big one, and this is gonna be a very nice series. So I hope you guys enjoy. And once again, thank you so much for being here. And yes, gonna jump into the first game. The timeline looks fairly decently, so I think we're gonna be able to cast this very nicely. And for now, gonna give these players a proper introduction. We have SoldieR in the color blue on the left side, spawning in on the map Colorado, playing Dutch, going ahead and herding his first animal, also going ahead and switching 3 villagers onto coin. Now 1 villager kind of going to maybe pick up that coin treasure, explore it, moving very fast, looking to maybe find a treasure that he could potentially use, a coin treasure, a wood treasure, a food treasure, anything he could get his hands on. So very fast movement so far by SoldieR, almost so fast I have to check the movement speed right now. And also going to switch on the more info. Hopefully everything goes well in the more info. There we have, the tab is up. So yeah, gonna be a really good game so far. Heading over to the other side, we have Lavendar in the color red playing the French. He is on the right side with his total of 6 CDBs. I would like to assume 7 CDB coming out. Also having a nice in-base treasure, a 50 food treasure. Very nice treasure for him to pick up. And is also going to excel his H2 gameplay very well. So meaning he might get that faster age up. But one interesting thing to see is that he's actually gone for the house but hasn't gone for the TP. So often at times you see Lavendar or any French player chop for the wood to get the house, but then also kind of get the wood to make the TP. So he's not gone for the TP as of now, and I'm not going to question it because I know Lavendar knows what he's doing. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Now we see the envoy kind of roaming around the explorer of the French, and yeah, doing some madness scouting on both sides. Of course, the native scout for the French as well, scouting this 80 coin treasure. So very fast pace, both players kind of giving it their all at the moment, and almost like they're literally just ramping up the throttle right now, going crazy. And yeah, 80 coin treasure being picked up for Lavendar, but we also saw a treasure being contested down here by SoldieR, and yep, it looks to be, we see a 90 wood treasure being spotted by him. But if we switch over to the side of Lavendar and turn on the fog of war, we can see Lavendar has kind of found this treasure out, and he knows about this treasure. He definitely will not say no to 90 wood. And now this cougar on full HP. This is a very awkward spot to be in for SoldieR because not only is he getting attacked by the explorer but also by the cougar, but crack shots the last cougar and actually picks up the treasure. Very nice click there, very nice play, very fast reaction. And even though his explorer is very low, I think he's going to be happy about that trade so far. Hopefully the settings are right. If they are not, if the sound is too loud, if the game is a little bit choppy, do let me know. I'll be able to fix it ASAP. But for now, heading into this game, once again, 90 food treasure. Very nice pickup for SoldieR. Going to be able to maybe use that 90 wood later on with the wood that he gets from his age up, or just by making his bank in transition, which I'm sure he's doing now. So splitting his villages almost evenly, 8 villages on food and 6 on wood, trying to save up for that first bank. 350 food and 350 wood is needed, and yeah, almost has all of that very soon. So gonna get that nice first bank up very early. So maybe switch over to Lavendar and see what his age up is looking to be. So Lavendar aging up with the quartermaster, almost 1/4 of the way through of his first age up, and also picking up a tamed cougar treasure. So still going for some treasures here, and could be really nice. I guess the tamed cougar can give him information. He has the scout here. I guess he's making a very forward marketplace as well. So really interesting to see that he's going for the forward marketplace and no TP strat. Never mind, he does have the TP up and ready, so I kind of expected him to put the TP there, so he did actually build the TP. Here it is, so my mistake. Now going to pick up a treasure as well, 60 food treasure coming his way as well, almost like he knows where all of these treasures are. So yeah, nice little pickup by him, and I think it's great when you go for treasures on maps throughout the game. So even like 22 minutes into the game, if you find a treasure which no one decided to take, it's a nice little bonus that you can get. We saw that in the last game, Escalating versus Kevin. Escalating going for a very greedy build, and Kevin trying to hold on by picking up, you know, a 305 coin treasure, which was heavily guarded. So yeah, actually won the game as well. So kind of just shows you how great treasures can be in terms of trying to keep up and just trying to claim a bonus for yourself. Lavendar going for some more treasures, might go for the Nook the Clubman, which is essentially a very good pikeman unit, very high siege, but instead just kind of almost sussing this one out, just preying this one out, looking to see what he can find, almost wanting to scout there, but he does have the native scout in MV mode and is also age 2 as of now. Quartermaster is up. First shipment are the CDBs, and on the other side, of course, we have SoldieR, which was age 2, a little bit faster, is almost got his first shipment in, which will be the 700 wood, also going for his marketplace. Very nice and early. Also his second bank as well from the wood gained from the Quartermaster. So beautiful opening by SoldieR in age 2. So really looking good for SoldieR, and I mean also with the treasures that he picked up, nice transition, nice gameplay, and also nice timing, I would say, with the first bank as well. So looking to be in a really prime position. But then again, France very decent, I would like to assume, against Dutch, simply because if you look at France's civ, it's very similar to Germany in terms of they have CDB from the start, which have bonus gathering rates, right? So it's a 25% extra gathering for the CDB, which means they're able to keep up with, you know, 2 banks or even like 3 banks for the early game, because these CDB are out from the start. You don't have the banks from age 1 pretty much. So it's like France, I feel like, do very well. They're very comfortable in age 2, I'd like to say, and also can kind of keep up with the skirmishes of Dutch with all of the upgrades that they have. You have to imagine France have, I think it's like 3 upgrades for skirmishes, whereas Germany doesn't have a single card for the skirmishes, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just, yeah, and of course Dutch having great skirms as well. Stable being built for SoldieR. Nutka Clubman doing the most here, doing some damage on this one settler on 101 HP. No great coats in for the Dutch player, which can prove to be very, very dangerous if he doesn't get that later, because look at this, Lavendar with his stable, building a very nice aggressive stable, training 5 Hussar with his resources, maybe switching over to Lavendar to see what he sends in behind this. So 5 Hussar on the way, as well as that Cougar, looking to raid, looking to idle some of his soldiers' villages. And will he get some villages? No, but it looks like he's going to get a nice idle here, which is, I guess, you know, pivotal, because Dutch is going to have a really decent eco with 4 banks. Maybe a 5th bank could be built in the later stages of the game, and it's going to be very hard for France to kind of keep up if this game goes on for longer. Resources do run out, but the banks never. For now, we see more Hussars being trained from SoldieR, and he's looking to fight this, but Lavendar just going to suicide 1 Hussar, kind of buy himself some time for those other 3 Hussar to escape. So we see the shipments for France going for something very standard, the 4 CDB, the 700 wood, as well as the 700 coin. So this is, yeah, this is something that we've seen quite often for France. They love to send in the 700 wood, as do Germany in H2. And, you know, as a result, sending in the 700 wood, able to kind of establish himself in the mid section of Colorado with these 2 barracks put up. So a nice little front base, nice little map secure with these barracks. Map secured with these 2 barracks, training musketeers as well, still has that scout alive. And I'd love to say that France having that scout is probably one of their best units in the early stages. Maybe not so much against Dutch, but I feel like against other civilizations can just give you so much information. But you can just see now Hussar war going on. SoldieR actually not going to commit to this Hussar war, just kind of training that 1 batch of Hussar and looking to age. And I like this play quite a lot. I feel like this is a really good play. He's going to be age 3, could even send in potentially the CM. I have to check his deck. He doesn't have CM in his deck, sadly. But Miniman might be enough against these musketeers. Also has the TC fire, as well as his explorer and the Hussar, which if he places correctly, he will be able to kill these musks without taking any damage himself. But even if he does, these Hussar are quite tanky. So yeah, I like this play a lot by SoldieR. I see a lot of games by Dutch where I'm like, or from Dutch, where I'm like, why don't you just age? I feel like Dutch do so well in the early stages of age 3, especially when you have like 4 banks. I mean, his eco is going to be so good, as well as, you know, having such strong H3 shipments and just really good units. And I love the fact that he's doing this. Now the Miniman in the back line trying to do some damage to this one kind of a zoned out Hussar. 3 Hussar versus 3 Hussar group. The micro on both players trying to micro this Hussar war, but the musketeers maybe just going to give the edge to Lavendar right now. Going to kill those Minutemen as well as the explorer and also most of these Hussar. But I don't think SoldieR is going to be too worried. Still pulling ahead in score. He does have the banks which do inflate his score, and I don't think he's lost too many villages. Also has the great coats on his villages. So far SoldieR looking really good. And now the Reut is about to pop from his town center, also popping from the stable. So gonna have a total of 14 Reuters. And will it be enough to fend off against 10 Hussar and I guess 15 Musk? I don't think so. Already Minutemen has been used. Explorer even here to snare. And I mean, this could be good for SoldieR if he just plays it right. If he just waits for these musketeers to siege a building and just looks to snipe and just wait for the TC fire to do its magic, I think then these Reuters are going to look very nasty. And yeah, we're going to have to see. As of now, looking like a really good game and looking like a really, really hectic game. A lot of things going on. The Reuters, of course, now coming out from the stable, just doing the most right now, killing most of the musketeers. But Lavendar just H2, very comfortable as France, might be aging up behind this as well. Just keeps on pumping musketeers from these two barracks. And if we switch over to Lavendar, I catch a little bit of a break right now. We can see he's actually sending in the food. So sending in 700 food, which isn't usually a shipment that you see being sent in by France. And I'm not sure if he's trying to save to age here. And wow, now you see SoldieR with such a huge Reuter mass, and he's very comfortable. He sees 5 musketeers. He's not scared of no 5 musketeers. He's also seeing the hussar, which he wants to get to, but he needs to kill the musketeers first so he doesn't take too much damage from those Reuters. And this is the beauty of playing Dutch H3, is that you're able to spam Reuters like a mad person. They are so cost effective. They have so much damage output in the high numbers that you can make them. You can ship them in like crazy, and you can also make them for low cost, you know, costing more coin than food. So it's very easy to do when you have full banks. Skirmishes being kind of the harder unit to make sometimes when you don't have those hunts, which, you know, SoldieR doesn't really have a lot of food in his base. He only has 1 hunt in his base, but I think now that he's kind of secured himself his H3, very comfortable. And this is how I see most games going with Dutch. You know, H3 is just something you need to be reckoned, or a force to be reckoned with pretty much, and very hard to deal with those Reuters. Very, very hard to deal with Reuters. Musketeers, not enough. Probably would have needed crossbows, but I don't know. Crossbows with France seems a little bit awkward. So yeah, musketeers just kind of being made there, but just absolutely getting shreked by those Reuters. And now we see Lavendar a little bit of trouble here. Is he aging up? That's one thing. Yeah, he's aging up with the Exile Prince. So a fast age up here. You can see SoldieR just doing so much damage, but luckily for Lavendar, he's playing France and he's got some very tanky villagers, 243 HP on those CDBs. So yeah, very, very tanky on that side. And yeah, not going to be able to pick off a Ville. So I think it was any other Civ, he would have probably gotten a few villagers there, but nope, not with France. And yep, now we see Lavendar H3 has, I guess, 29 CDB, running out of coin. Also needs to maybe do a little bit of a better job at herding in his stuff because he also has no food. Scout actually going down here, but the Hussars still alive and well, so he's going to be happy about that. But what do we see here? Double Rex training skirmishes. But this is the thing. If you don't have enough skirmishes to deal with these Reuters, he could easily just snare these Reuters and go ahead and just kind of kill them with the abundance of Reuters that he has. But he doesn't even need to. He has the 5 Hussar from the stable connecting onto these skirmishes. 10 skirmishes coming out. This is the first batch he's trained and they're already dying. And he has the Hussar of his own, but the Reuter mass are there for SoldieR. And he definitely doesn't want to suicide these Hussar alongside these skirmishes. He definitely wants to either keep one of these unit masses alive, and I feel like he's going to sacrifice these skirmishes for now and just look to maybe raid with these Hussar, and that is exactly what he's doing. But more Hussars being trained from SoldieR. He's got resources for days, still has the hunt available, and getting caught off with those Hussar, 5 Hussar, snaring onto these Hussar and the Reuters in the backline with their 7.25 movement speed looking to catch up. So wow, yike-a-doodle, that was insane. I mean, SoldieR is bringing his absolute most right now. This is flawless gameplay with Dutch almost. I don't really know what to say. I'm sorry about the sound being a little bit too loud. I just saw. I'm just gonna turn my volume down a little bit. I apologize about that. But yeah, hopefully that was a great game to watch nonetheless. But what a beautiful game. SoldieR is a very good player indeed, and I mean, so is Lavendar. I mean, I haven't actually seen Lavendar lose too much, but as of now, this was a really decisive game, and SoldieR just being so strong, H3, and just going for that really nice age up, like sneaking that H3 in there was so good, and just not even losing any villagers, having his villagers with the great coats. Very impressive. GG indeed, guys, and we're going to head over to the post game, but we have to remember that was a live game, so we actually casted this game live, so I hope you guys enjoy the playback speed and appreciate ESOC doing the most in terms of making it happen, and of course the players as well. So SoldieR 15k resources, as well as Lavendar with almost 16k resources, actually having more resources in the end than his opponent, which is quite absurd if you think about it. Didn't really look like it, did it, due to all those Reuters being spawned out pretty much, and of course the 4 banks. But that's just the beauty of France. If we check maybe some of the, let me just check out some of the other stuff as well. Like, I want to see the military, 71 for Lavendar, his favorite unit being Musketeers, 56 for Dutch. It's 27 of those being Reuters, so quite a lot of Reuters out on the field. 27 Reuters. Almost felt like it was more Reuters, but they're just so chunky, they appear to be more. All resources gathered, quite close as we saw earlier. France actually pulling ahead in the early game as to be expected. And I kind of would assume that Lavendar later on would actually pull ahead with those banks. But I also feel like SoldieR, if he dropped down, sorry, SoldieR pulling ahead. Oh no, actually Lavendar pulling ahead with France. Impressive. So that's really interesting. I would assume Dutch is better in terms of eco in the later stages. I guess this was still early game, 10 minutes into the game. And I guess one thing to note is that Lavendar could also just send in 1k wood and make a double town center. And then he'll be even more ahead. So quite impressive. Real question is SoldieR going to catch up? Because it looks like he was quite close towards the end. But also getting a nice idol as well. Interesting. So learning some new things in that last game. But I feel like we're going to head over to the next game for now. Seeing as it was only a 12-minute game and already that many post-game stats to analyze. But if you guys do have any questions or want to see anything in specific, do let me know. But yep, next game on the way. And yep, gonna update the score as well. So that is that's a huge victory for the Mandarin Duck squad. So looks like 1-0 up for the Mandarin Duck squad being taken by SoldieR. So the Croatia management kind of being ahead in terms of ranking on the table. So yeah, it feels like Mandarin Duck squad, if they win enough games, they can actually pull ahead on the table as well. They only need, I think, 4 wins or 3 wins. So everything's possible. I'll just update the score for you guys. Oh yeah, the 700 food that he did send in. Yeah, you send in the 700 food as well as the 700 wood. And I'm going to assume the 700 coin as well. Just going to wait for the second game to be started. And yep, once again, I've turned down my sound. So I apologize if it was a little bit too loud in the last game. Always have to tweak my settings, but it should be okay now, and I hopefully you guys can hear me well. But for now, jumping into the second game of the play all best of 5 games, I would assume. Not really a best of 5, a play all 5 series between SoldieR playing for the Mandarin Dog Squad versus Lavendar playing for the Croatia Management Company. Definitely a great game on the way. And now we see Lavendar playing his main civ. I would like to assume he loves his Russia, and SoldieR playing Haudenosaunee. So going to be very interesting. And very happy that the timeline looked very good in the last game. Not sure what's going on with the map as of now. There we go. So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, ESOC community, as well as the Age of Empire 3 community, to game number 2 of this Play 5 series, hosted by ESOC. It's the second game between SoldieR and Lavendar. Of course, we have Lavendar on the west side of Korea playing Russia in the color red, going ahead and picking up his first treasure, the 45 coin, as well as building his house as well. So very nice opening for Russia. I feel like he could have maybe gone for a marketplace opening, but yeah, it's something you can do with Russia most games if you get good treasures. But I'm not sure if he would need another wood treasure for it. I would assume he might want to find another wood treasure, which he has actually found, an 80 wood treasure. So I think it would have been a marketplace start for him. But nonetheless, I guess just going for the safer option with that one house. And if we switch over to the side of SoldieR in the color blue on the right-hand side, playing Haudenosaunee, he's going for, it looks to be a standard Haudenosaunee build on the map Korea. And this is quite unusual because often at times you would see the dock. There we have it. So we do see the dock being built. Of course, then chopping for the house. I'm going to assume he picked up a wood treasure as well. Gonna have to check if he did find a wood treasure. So maybe no wood treasure being found. So actually just going ahead and building the house as well as the dock at a very decent time. And now I guess with most of his villagers on wood, doesn't really need to worry about wood for now. Just training those boats and also training villagers. So going for a nice little dock start, something that we see Ottoman do quite often. And this has been nerfed in the previous patch. I think it's something to do with the construction time, that the dock builds a lot slower with the Travois. I'm sure there's someone who knows the exact details on what has been nerfed in the previous patch in terms of Howden Ashani water, but seems like SoldieR's very comfortable still going onto water. And like I said, the great thing about going on water with Howden Ashani or even with Ottoman is that you're still able to kind of train those boats. You have villagers on wood, you're training boats at the same time, and then you're also kind of able to get a competitive age up time with more eco. So aging up at a decent time, and then also with those extra villagers or those extra boats, you're gathering food a lot faster. So you also can kind of catch up in aging up or getting that 800 food. Explorer scouting a food treasure. So speaking of food, killing 2 Black Panthers for this 75 food treasure. And this is, I mean, this is a dream for SoldieR. This is exactly what he wants right now. I mean, aging up with a dog star is always kind of tricky because sometimes you're not guaranteed to age up at a good time. But now with the 75 food treasure, it's gonna be beautiful. I mean, that's a huge win for him and a great start for him, and he's definitely going to like that quite a bit. And I guess on the side of Lavendar, we can maybe see what he's going to do. So he picked up a 75 coin treasure just down here. And yeah, spawning on the map Korea, this is a very unusual map, I would like to say, in terms of, I don't really see Howden Ashani a lot on this map, but I see Russia pretty much 70% of the times when we watch Korea being the map choice. I always see Russia on this map for some reason, and it does make sense. Korea doesn't have the best hunts. It has, you know, decent food, but it also has random seeds. Sometimes you have 3 in-base hunts or, you know, close area hunts. Sometimes you have less. In this case, it's only 2 pretty much, and this one is quite far away, so looks like to be a kind of a worse seed. And that's kind of good for Russia because I think Korea does favor map control. You need a lot of map control on this map, and with Lavendar playing Russia, he's going to drop down that blockhouse in the midsection of the map, and he's then also going to make units and kind of secure the map control, and then also kind of deny map control from his opponent, which could mean him not having those hunts over here or over here. But SoldieR's doing a great job. I love to see something like this. I love the fact that he's kind of premature or like preemptively herding this in. Like before he even needs this hunt, he's already herding it in, and this is really big. And he's doing the same up here as well, and this is huge because if Russia walks into his base, great. He's gonna idle a few vills. You can't really stop that, right? Idle a few vills until you make units and can defend. But then you have hunts in your base, so you don't have to like idle your vills even more by having to walk ages to kind of get these deers, which just walk away or just very far to begin with on the map Korea. So very, really big play there. I think it's very underrated play as well. Herding more hunts than just like one hunt, and also very biased spawn. If you ask me, I feel like SoldieR just has more hunts in his base compared to Russia. If we look at this, am I tripping? I feel like there's just more hunts for SoldieR even after he does herd this one in. I don't know, maybe. It's possible. I've seen it before, so it does feel like sometimes the map favors one person more than the other one due to the Civ matchup. But for now, we see Lavendar drop down his blockhouse, also more boats being trained. A total of 7 boats about to come out for Lavendar. For SoldieR. Speaking of Lavendar, H2, of course, now sending the 5 Cossack, training the 10 Strele, also got 3 villages on the way, as well as having another 3 villages queued. So I always talk about how hard it is sometimes to kind of get that macro right in terms of food, to get the Cossack, to get the Streles out, as well as the villages out, and then, of course, the Cossack, which he ships in. And are being trained from this 1 barracks, which SoldieR did get from his age up. And yeah, of course, now losing a villager, which is kind of bound to happen, but losing a 2nd villager as well. This is awful stuff from SoldieR. This is horrible. You don't want to lose 2 villagers by the first push. That is not good. Russia usually just kind of G-baits or kind of just like tries to troll you in the first push, just looking to just kill a few villagers or like do some damage to a few villagers to make you idle, not really expecting to get a villager. I think they actually pick up speed in the 2nd push with those musketeers and maybe those 2nd batch of Cossack and stuff like that. So yeah, actually losing 2 villagers there is quite big if you ask me. On the other side, we have, of course, Lavendar, which I would assume is maybe just going to send in the 700 wood. Yep, sending in the 700 wood. So I love this play a lot. It's I like to assume that Russia's kind of just going for the first push, kind of just trying to like annoy his opponent, just kind of like, here I am, idle your vills, and I'll be off. And then behind that, he's just looking to send in the 700 wood and kind of just secure his position even more so. Kind of an economic shipment here, going to make a stable, maybe even another blockhouse, maybe make a marketplace and stuff like that. So just kind of trying to catch up or, you know, progress in this game, should I say. Not even necessarily catch up. I guess I think catch up might be the right word, seeing as Haudenosaunee soldier does have this dock with a lot of boats. I mean, sometimes you only see 4 or 5 boats being trained, but this is like 7, 8 boats for the side of soldier. We can check maybe how many there are in total, but soldier playing Haudenosaunee, and one thing I hear quite often in very open-minded debates is that Haudenosaunee is very good in H2. That's what I hear very often. I hear that this matchup is, I think someone said this is Haudenosaunee favored. I think that's something that a lot of top tier players have said before, but I know it's never really to be guaranteed. It's map dependent, of course, player dependent. Everyone does something different, but I think it's safe for us to assume that Haudenosaunee does well against Russia, not only because they get the travel wall for free, they also have decent H2 in general with the units that they can train. And of course with the Dogstar, it's just, I think they're very comfortable in H2. And now I can maybe check out how many boats he has. 8 boats being sent in for soldier. Also going to check out his shipments. So 4 Kanya being his, 600 wood being his first shipment in H2, following up with the 4 Kanya horsemen, and then of course the 800 resources being 100 resource more than European crate shipments, but then also being 200 resources more than his other crate shipments. So he's able to send in 600 wood as well as 600 coin. If we check here, whereas for other civilizations this would be 700 each time. So yeah, kind of balancing it out by sending in this one. But yeah, looks pretty good so far for soldier, and I like the fact that he sent in those 800 crates worth of resources, because he got a lot of wood in those crates, which definitely helps him in terms of making more boats. You can see he's constantly training more boats. I'd like to assume. I think there's another 2 boats over here, yeah, and he's also going for the long line. So he's gone for the gill nets, and he's also gone for the long line. So if we check out the gathering rates of these boats, the long line still needs to come in, but already with the gill nets, 0.77 food per second, which is very, very decisive. If we check a villager, it's 0.92. A little bit of a fight going on here, so I might have to kind of retract from those stats for now. But yes, speaking of speaking of stats, he has tomahawks with very decent stats against Cossack, being very good against Cossack in melee, having a 3 times multiplier. And I would like to assume tomahawk aren't the greatest in H2. I know a lot of people would kind of agree with me there, but also disagree with me there. But they also do very well against Ulans and kind of light range or light cavalry like the Cossack. But a little bit of fight going on here. The cannon, the front line, in a very good position, kind of split in between on both sides of this coin mine choke, but also the Kanya now retracting. Also the Enna bowman in the front line doing some damage to these musketeers, but the Cossacks swooping in with a great position, looking to kind of do some damage to these Enna, but the tomahawks kind of being pushed to the forward side, doing a lot of multiply damage, but also getting sniped by these Strele, which do have multiplies against these tomahawks. So kind of a very two-sided fight, I would like to say. Both players doing the most here, but the Cossack coming out for Lavendar could be huge here. The tomahawks not in at the right time, kind of a little bit slow to the party, but I think all in all this is quite a close fight. I think this is looking quite good. The tomahawks with 165 HP kind of being a musketeer unit themselves, many people say. So yeah, actually being able to hold this, the musketeers of the Russian side only having 120 HP, not enough it seems. Maybe the Australia should have been trained instead of those musketeers, maybe fearful of those Kanya, even though there were only 4 of them, but nonetheless more Kanya being trained, and the last Kanya does go down, and the tomahawks now trying to clean up some of these Cossack with the N in the backline. Does the Explorer, has he used his crack shot? Yeah, the Explorer of the Haudenosaunee player being a very vicious beast called Wind Feather does have the area effect, the Eagle Eye, I think it's called, which does ranged splash damage. So a lot of people call it the mini falconet. Now doing a really, really nice little damage output there on these musketeers. More Strele being popped out, but the Kanya being trained, snaring out to these Strele as well as the tomahawk in the backline, applying some siege damage to this blockhouse. More Strele coming out, but snaring right onto the Kanya horseman, which is very unfortunate. Does have the Cossack in the front line, which will be able to tank a lot of damage and also kind of distract these Kanya horsemen and just kind of keep these Strele alive to apply their heavy multiplier damage against these tomahawks. But so much fighting going on, so many units being sent in, and this is like 11 minutes into the game, but it seems like both players just have an insane eco. Look at the units coming out right now, the tomahawks, the musketeers, the Strele, the Enna still alive, the Kanya as well, and looks like Russia's getting cleaned up here, even pulling the villagers, but the villagers won't help you here. They're not even got the great coats on them, 150 HP, and it looks like the villagers now might go down as well after the last of the Strele fall. And what a game. I mean, almost like both both players activated some sort of cheat codes to give them a lot of resources. Who typed a whole lot of love in the chat right now? That is insane. How much resources do these guys have? I mean, I understand he's got water, but this is 11 minutes into the game, and looks like SoldieR pulling ahead in the second game. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. Wow, that is absolutely beautiful game by SoldieR. First game in Dutch, very nice play, almost flawless gameplay. Second game, did lose a few villagers to that first push, but just playing it so well in the second half. He was being aggressive to Russia. Like, whenever do you see Russia being the ones that have to idle vills and, you know, the marketplace he was trying to burn down? You can see it's on 1,394 HP. So crazy. Like, SoldieR is absolutely insane, and I feel like this is cool because SoldieR hasn't been playing this game a lot, I think, in recent times. So I think a lot of people might, you know, underrate him or underestimate his power. Like, if I'm not wrong, he's been around for so long. Like, he is a really good player. I think he was considered one of the best AoE 3 players before. And I mean, you can see why. Like, just look at this. Like, look at this game right here. And I mean, yeah, beautiful game. But Lavendar still very much in this, and also one of my favorite players, to be honest. So yeah, this is we got a game on our hand, and I'm gonna hope Lavendar just you know, brings his best, which he's already doing so far, and in the next games hopefully we see some crazy stuff. But for now, checking out some of the post game stuff, we see 26 or 12,677 resources for Lavendar, and of course 13k for SoldieR. So having more resources, which isn't that quite not that decisive on the side of SoldieR. Despite him having water with like 12 boats on water with the Geo nets and long lines, we also wanted to check the gathering rates as well real quick. So 0.97 with the Geo nets and long lines, and that's actually more than a villager, 0.92. So wow, 41 vills versus 33 vills, and also rapid gathering rates as well. So yeah, despite all of that, still only just 500 resources ahead. Quite surprised by that. Maybe we could check out some of the villager graphs, which pretty much, I think, due to him having more boats is self-explanatory, pulling ahead, obviously. But Russia also keeping up. I guess training 3 vills and the time it takes to train 2 vills will catch up slightly the longer the game goes on. Each batch he trains. Also going to check maybe all resources gathered. And then we're going to move on to the fight, which I think a lot of people might want to see. It's quite close to the end, and I guess a few dips here. The idol, of course. I think for SoldieR over here. Military unit population, and here's that big fight. So one big fight breaking out 8 minutes or 9 minutes into the game. 44 units or unit population for Lavendar versus Russia's 42, I'd say, but the remass, I think, was the Cossack coming out from the blockhouse, kind of just getting onto those Enna, really nice behind, kind of very hard for SoldieR to react to that, but managed to do a good job with the tomahawks, kind of pulling them forward. And yeah, it was a very close fight, but it did seem like SoldieR pulled ahead, but the remass of Russia just being so good, cost-effective units, cheap prices, able to remass very decisively, but not being able to take it. And SoldieR just with that extra eco, just being able to kind of bring more value in terms of units, and then just also keep up in terms of having the same amount of units or even more units from the previous fight as well. So very impressive stuff by SoldieR. And yeah, that water, I feel like that water was just huge. But for now, we're going to head into the next game. Also going to update the score. And yes, like I said, these are live games, so I hope you guys are enjoying the playback speed. No time is wasted, so we saved you guys all the time from those pre-recorded games. So I hope you guys enjoy and appreciate ESOC. And once again, all the support helps, and I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. Like I said, just gonna update the score real quick. That is 2-0 for SoldieR, playing for the Mandarin Dog Squad against Lavendar, playing for the Crusade Management Company. And yeah, we talked about Mandarin Dog Squad needing like 3-4 games to get to 3rd place. Currently they're on last place. I'm sorry guys, I should have said 4th place. I know last place sounds kind of, you know, insulting, but they're 4th place, which may or may not be the bottom of the list. I'll let you guys decide, whereas the Crusade Management are in 3rd place. But if they win 4 games or take 4 games off of the Crusade Management code, they're going to be able to claim their rank for that number 3 spot for themselves. So something we're going to be able to hopefully observe. Speaking of observe, let's jump into the 3rd game, and I welcome you all. Thank you so much for being here. And once again, Lavendar versus SoldieR. Let's go. It's like SoldieR playing Germany. I know giving you anxiety likes to play a lot of Germany as well, and very high level in terms of German play. But Lavendar playing Spanish, not a civilization I've seen from him before. Also on the Arctic territories map, so nice little map indeed. You have the elk, the moose, should I say, and then of course the musk or the musk ox. It's a nice little hunts there. But for now, giving these players the credit they deserve, we have SoldieR playing the Germans, the energetic, the practical, the joyful, the fearless on the top side of the map. And on the bottom side of the map, we have Lavendar, the more enthusiastic and disciplined player. Absolute a force to be reckoned with. Definitely a really decent player in terms of decision making, I'd like to say, and also kind of micro. I think his micro is really good. We watched a game before where he was playing Russia and he was microing his Cossack very well, and now playing Spain, going for the marketplace as well as making the house as well. No TP. I think you do go for TP sometimes. You also have the ATP most likely in your deck on ATP maps as the Spanish, but for now just going for the marketplace start as well as the house, and of course Germany doing the same with the marketplace and also going for the house. So both players going for the same strategy, and I feel like on this map it definitely seems like something you need to do. Doesn't matter what civilization you play. I think we've watched like 4 games on this map before, and every single game both players went for the marketplace start. So maybe it's because of the treasures that you find on this map. A lot of coin, a lot of, I think there's like 2 wood treasures that we're gonna see here somewhere. Yeah, 75 wood, so a lot of wood treasures on this map as well. So maybe just the marketplace start being very good. I guess Germany goes for the marketplace start regardless, and I guess Lavendar doing the same on this map. But for now, treasures being taken, 110 coin being looked to get picked up by Lavendar. Has to kill 3 coyotes first. Very curious to see where his dog is. So his dog is over here. Might do some great scouting, and I think his dog is very good in the early game. You can also make more dogs as well. On the side of SoldieR, maybe you can see what he's doing, and so far he's being very aggressive in terms of map control or map scouting. Scouted pretty much all of the map on a straight line pretty much, so he just went from his base in a straight line to the other side of the map and just seeing what he could find on the way. And yeah, he's found a 80 XP treasure which is on the side of his opponent, so maybe denying a treasure there for Lavendar, and also kind of scouting that his opponent's taking the next treasure, which is a 75 wood treasure. And he needs to be careful though, because the dog is here, and we talked about the dog being so good in age 1, just doing so much damage. I think he does like, yeah, 15 hand attack. Wow, incredible amount of damage to this Explorer, and together with the dog and the Explorer, he's going to easily be able to get this Explorer very low. So SoldieR needs to just go back and yeah, just kind of give this treasure up. I personally feel like it's better to lose this treasure but then keep the hit points on your Explorer, so you can build that TP safely later on, which he's going to need as the Germans, because he's going to have a lot of strong H3 shipments as well as H2 shipments, which he's going to need to send in ASAP. Oh, let's play a game of Rate My Herding. So SoldieR currently with a beautiful moose herd in his base, and I feel like this is 10 out of 10 herding. What do we think? I mean, that moose is, you know, a few centimeters off the town center floor, but I feel like this moose herding is absolutely impeccable. Oh, never mind, we scouted the carabao. Oh, this takes his rating down. I feel like we give him 8.7 on herding, but those moves looking very promising. So great herding for SoldieR, and if we look at the herding from Lavendar as well, which is, you know, very important, I'd kind of give him, he's got good herding himself. I'd give him maybe a little bit higher, 8.8. So great herding by both players, and very important. I mean, we're playing on the map Arctic territories. It's very important that you have these herds in your base, and of course, you know, each herd that you have closer to your town center, the less villager walk time you will have, and it means less idle time pretty much, so more resources. So very important, very huge. We saw that in many games casted previously on the ESOC channel. So for now, I'm gonna herd in these moves. Also, both players going to H2. Lavendar going up with the governor, so 1 outpost and 200 coin will be awarded to him, of course having the hunting dogs on his villages. On the other side, we of course have the hunting dogs on SoldieR's villages as well, also going up to the 2nd age, getting the quartermaster. But one interesting thing here is that instead of the gang saw, we actually see the placer mines being researched first. So on the last German player that we saw on this map. We saw him go for the gang mine, or sorry, the gang saw instead, but now we see the placer mines coming in, which is something to, yeah, I guess I expect the placer mines to be something that Germany likes to get in the early stages, because the settler wagons just gather resources so fast, and for coin income is just huge to have those early placer mines active on your settler wagon. So nice little play there, kind of realizing that he might just get the gang sword later. For now, Quartermaster coming out, also going ahead and using that coin that he did get from those villagers to get his early steel traps as well. So very early steel traps coming in. As soon as he aged to the second age, getting those steel traps in, meaning that his villagers are all going to be affected by that very early. I cannot brag how important it is to get those early steel traps in. Also then herding in his second set of animals, his caribou on the top side, building some more houses, and of course sending in those juicy 3 settler wagons in H2 first shipment, and then also receiving 2 ulans for it. So Lavendar is playing a civilization that kind of likes to go naked FF, right? It's a very common thing to do with Spain, is that you just age up and then you send in 700 coin and then you go third age. Leave all of your villagers on food throughout most of the transition time, and then as soon as you have that coin come in, you have enough food to just gather the coin and go to the age 3. And I guess one great thing about Lavendar right now is that he's got the marketplace up. So often Spain doesn't actually get a marketplace when they go for the naked FF. They just skip it altogether unless they have incredible treasures, or if they're feeling, you know, extra fancy and extra rich, then they go for, of course, the marketplace. But I've seen so many games where they just skip the marketplace. But in this case, Lavendar going up with the early marketplace, and I guess he would have, I think, used his 700 wood and invested that into the marketplace and maybe the steel traps and then the barracks as well, which he's going to place next to his outpost. So a very common thing for him to do. So 700 coin, 700 wood, and then the 5 villagers behind, which he's sending in now. And yeah, going to get a very decent H3 timing, which means he's going to be able to send in H3 units very fast, and of course kind of almost like outscale his opponent in terms of military, because he's going to kind of walk up with the falconets, which I'm sure he's going to send in, as well as the skirmishes, and do a lot of damage. And it's going to be very hard for the German player to kind of not lose villagers or lose units to the large military mass that Lavendar is going to have. But we're going to have to see what Lavendar does decide to do. I don't want to speak too early because anything's possible, but this is something to expect in this matchup, or in this Spanish FF. And for now, aging up with the scout. So going to get the 4 Hussar with the scout age up. Often we see the adventurer being an age up as well, which does give him the crossbows. Ideally, I see a lot of times Spain actually send in the rods instead of the villages, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a waste of a shipment, because you still have the Minutemen, which 2 Ulan you can just easily kill with like your Explorer and just TC fire or something like that. So I think the rod's a little bit overkill, but you also could kind of expect SoldieR to go for that timing, like 5 minutes and 30, and make like 7 Ulans with the 2 from his shipment and then 5 from the stable. But I would assume SoldieR's not going to do that, and it's just going to age up himself. And yeah, he's actually getting a real decent age up time as well. And one thing to note is that he hasn't actually skipped those villages, so he's sending the villages first and then the coin after. I would assume, yeah, the 3 settler wagons and then 700 coin after. A little bit of raid going on here, but no villagers dying, I don't think. Just the Ulans taking some damage, but fighting going on here. The rods actually being trained from the barracks, I would assume. If we switch over to the side of Lavendar, got a lot of fighting going on here. Actually caught me a little bit off guard. These players are so explosive. What the hell is going on here? The Hussars coming out from, of course, the age up, shipped to the outpost, and the rods, of course, being trained during transition from the barracks, which he did place next to his outpost. Now going for a big idle, and we talked about this, just something that's pretty much unpreventable. But now SoldieR's in H3 at a really decent time, also raiding, picking up some villagers here. Wow, one villager almost going down. There we see it, almost in the air there. Whoa, oof, that villager went flying literally, but all of the Ulans do fall down. And I mean, altogether this looks good for, I feel like this looks good for Germany for some reason, because Lavendar's kind of going for, I guess he has the 5 villagers sent in, so he's going for more of a like a delayed push, I would assume. So he's probably going to send in the Spanish gold or something, I would assume. But no, he's already sending the Spanish gold. Good. Sending in the 1k wood after. Very interesting. So yeah, going for a delayed push, more of a economic focused push, I would assume. And it kind of makes sense, because H3 Spanish gold is just one of his best shipments that he could send in, getting 360 coin for every shipment that he sends in. And now that he's seen that Germany's H3 as well at a very decent time, it doesn't really make sense to go for like an Ooga Booga push with the 2 falconets and, you know, the age up units that you get, it just doesn't really make sense. I don't think it's going to work very much. All Germany needs to do is make war wagons, and it'll pretty much beat everything that Spain can make. I feel like even the rods with, you know, the Ulans to body block and maybe even Minutemen. So it just doesn't make sense. So this, it's just what I said about Lavendar. Has great decision making, just knows exactly what he needs to do, and kind of adjusting his strategy based on what he sees his opponent do, which is just high level gameplay right there. It's just attentive gameplay, peak awareness, I like to say. More rods coming out, also more raids looking to take place, but the Hussar were, I think, here just previously able to kind of scare these Ulans off. And 25 vills for Lavendar, so a decent amount of villages. But if we look at SoldieR, he's got 24 vills, and with those 5 settler wagons, it's 29 in total, so definitely ahead in eco. But with all of these raids, I feel like he's just kind of increasing his gap. A lot of fighting going on whilst he's not paying attention, trying to get those villages in a sneaky way. Now Lavendar kind of in a situation where he's kind of needing to do something, but what can he ideally do? And each second he waits, the worse it's going to get, because Spain is good in H3, but I tell you another civ that's really good in H3, and that is Germany, probably being one of the best H3 civilizations because of the shipments that they have. If we just take a look, 7, 8 skirmishes, 8, 9 Ulan, war wagons, mercenaries, which they get more mercenaries, seeing as with each shipment that they send, they get Ulans. In H3, it's 3 Ulans, H2 is 2 Ulans. But it's when they send mercenaries, instead of getting extra Ulans, they get extra mercenaries. So just like a really good H3 civilization, and very strong with the shipments. So even if they kind of got their back against the walls, they kind of just rely on those shipments to kind of bring them back into the game. Ulan picking off a vill there, just very, very high in damage. Low in hit points, but high in damage, able to just kill those vills. And yeah, you can see Lavendar is just trying to do something here. And I mean, this rod mass is looking really strong for Lavendar. This is actually, this could be really scary for those war wagons. We talked about the war wagons being very good against pretty much anything that Lavendar was going to throw at him in the early H3, but now that these rods are kind of reached that really, really decisive and critical mass, I feel like it will be very hard for these war wagons to deal with them, to be honest. And even these skirmishes as well, being very good against light range cavalry, which the war wagons are. Well, yeah, what a game. I mean, both of these players, you can definitely tell they're very high level. Like, both of these players just, they don't want to give the opponent too much. And you can see Lavendar is not pushing the base. He could just, like, go into the base, find underneath the TC. If you just look at the units that SoldieR has a few war wagons, and that's pretty much it. Training his first skirmisher batch. So he could push the base, but he doesn't want to give his opponent anything. He doesn't want to, like, give him a dot pop. He doesn't want to give him a Minutemen pop. He doesn't just want to, like, lose his units. He just want to play it real safe. And this is how I see Spanish players do it quite often. They just make a lot of skirmishes, and they just kind of snipe the villagers. Like, each time these villagers are ejected out of the town center, the skirmishers roam up, pick a villager here, go back, and then as soon as the villagers come out of the town center, he goes again, picks a villager and goes back. And that is the bonus of having, you know, a very early H3, and then having skirmishes which you train with your H3, right? He can't send in skirmishes, sadly, from his H3 shipments, which you can see here. So no skirmishes being able to send here, but that it doesn't really matter when you're able to train them. So just early H3 training skirmishes, and now just being a really, really annoying Spanish player at the moment, and picking off a lot of villages in that fight, but also losing a lot of villages as well. These Ulans just being so strong in terms of villager raids, and I guess the rods were there in this time. But now the Falcons coming out from the outpost, and it looks like Lavendar is ready to go, ready to push the base. The Jaegers did come up for the German side, which we do have to mention. Jaegers very strong, 250 HP, 30 range attack, 20 range, 3 rate of fire, multiplies against heavy infantry and light range cav, which I'm sure you guys know, but just look at the HP compared to like a normal skirmisher, almost 100 HP more. So 106 HP more to be precise. Just a lot of HP, and this is going to be really hard for Lavendar to deal. And I'm kind of surprised that SoldieR's not fighting this, to be honest. And maybe he's expecting the Lancers to come up, but he has the war wagons for those Lancers, and maybe he just expects that Lavendar has a hidden Lancer mass that he's not aware of, which he doesn't have. He's actually sending his first Lancer shipment in right now, which will spawn in the next few seconds. So I feel like now SoldieR should trade. He has the strongest skirmisher mass. I would love to assume, oh, the Falconets are still alive. I didn't see that. Sadly, one Falconet does go down though, to those war wagons. The second Falconet on I'd say 3/4 of HP, so does make sense that SoldieR wasn't going for that. I thought that, for some reason, I thought the Falconers went down already, but nonetheless, still alive, and Lavendar just doing a great job of just keeping his units kind of nice and neat, nice and compact, and just looking to trade as well as he can. And right now, I feel like the only thing that is kind of holding Lavendar's unit composition together is that Falconer, because if these were pure skirmishes versus pure skirmishes, oh my god, speaking of skirmishes, these Jaegers get a terrible pathfinding around the marketplace. He loses like 2 Jaegers right there, which is huge. A 1k coin ship, and you need every single Jaeger that you can get. You barely have any skirmishes to kind of deal with this skirmish mass. Anyways, those Jaegers were the only thing you really had, but nonetheless, going for a huge Ulan pop now, sending in the 9 Ulans from his home city, and I mean, not really that great, I guess, against a huge rod mass. Does have those war wagons in the backline, but now the Falcon is still alive, trying to kind of kite with these veteran Ulans, distract these Rodelleros, which he's doing, and great micro by SoldieR, distracting the rods with 1 Ulan mass, and with the other Ulan mass now leaving these these skirmishes kind of exposed by the rods, kind of chasing over the other Ulan mass. More skirmishes kind of in the backline from both sides, but kind of focusing their attention on the cavalry units on the Spanish side, and on the other side not really having any attention focused. Now we do see the Lancer going down, sniped by those Jaegers, but all in all, this looks like a good fight for Lavendar. I mean, the Falconer just being so clutch. I mean, it doesn't really get any closer. 3 HP on that Falconer, if I saw correctly, does go down in the end to the TC fire, and now the rods are gonna pretty much hold this together, I guess, against the Ulan, but no more Ulan left for SoldieR, only having 1 war wagon left as well. But all in all, I feel like that was a good fight for Lavendar. I feel like now he's kind of in a good position. He's got a lot of map control, he has more skirmishes, and the thing about Germany is that his skirmisher mass has kind of gone down a lot now. He's lost a lot of skirmishes in that one fight. I guess, yeah, just pure fighting, and the Lancers just killed a lot of those Jaegers as well, and just, yeah, now he's gonna have to train a lot of skirmishes. But ideally what you need is like a double Rex, right? You kind of need more resources than your opponent, and a double Rex kind of just outmass your opponent in terms of skirmishes. So I feel like now is a great time to check the eco of both opponents. So we see 34 vills for SoldieR, which 5 of those are settler wagons, so 39, whereas Lavendar has 39 as well. So I mean, I would love to say that Lavendar is ahead in eco because he also has Spanish gold behind this, right? So I think that's accurate. He would be ahead, right, in eco because of the Spanish gold by a hair length, pretty much, or I guess a hair strand, should I say. I guess ahead as well now that he has a lot of skirmishes. So it's going to be really hard for SoldieR to kind of mass up a lot of skirmishes and kind of beat Lavendar's skirmisher mass. So I think he's just going to go for an Ulan mass instead. And this makes perfect sense. I mean, if you can't beat them in the skirmishers and in the skirmisher war, then just make melee cav and just try your best. And I think that's really important against Spain. Spain just always love to make skirmishes and just kind of beat you in terms of skirmisher war, even though they don't have the best skirmishers in the game. They just have more skirmishes due to the faster age up, and I think it's very important that he's making melee cav here. I think if he made anything else, like war wagons, I think it would have been game-losing unit composition. So really, really good play by SoldieR. Definitely need to mention that as well. So yeah, just trying to trim down the numbers in the skirmisher pool, the skirmisher department, but has a lot of rods to deal with, and that's going to be hard for him to deal with. Like, the rods for Spain are just so good right now because, you know, low cost, and then also just being able to send them in like nothing. And this is going to be a really big fight for Lavendar if he gets the full snare on these Ulan. All of these rods kind of connecting to these Ulans, zoning out most of these Ulans for these Lancers on the left side, on the underside, to do so much damage to the remaining skirmishers of SoldieR. He barely has any skirmishers left. Lavendar, let him live. More skirmishers being trained out, or should I say more rods being trained out, as well as the skirmisher mass in the backline doing so much damage to the whole unit composition of SoldieR. And this looks to be GG. The Lancers also coming out as well, I'd assume, from the stable. And yeah, what a huge fight for him. And I feel like just having those extra rods in that fight is almost like having Dobbs as Germany. I know it's not the same in terms of damage output, but the rods are so good against the Ulans. And even if he had Lancers versus Ulans, it would have been weird, I must say. But I feel like it still would have been a quite close fight if he didn't have those rods. But the rods are so good. You can just train them, send them in. He's like, you can't send in any skirmishes, but 8, 9 rods, 7 rods, H2, which is, you know, 1 rod less than an H3 shipment. So it's like still viable in a way. And I guess just very cheap. If we check the cost of a rod as well, a Rodolero, I shouldn't use nicknames all the time. You can just see like very low cost, same cost as the Enna Bowman, which we saw in the last game. So 100 resource in total, which is a speedy pikeman, I guess. A lot of people say these are bad, and I understand why people say these are bad in terms of stats, which I don't feel like they are necessarily. but I feel like they're just so great because they're just easy to hand. Like you have them, they're so accessible. You just have rods everywhere, like rods in his base to defend the Ulan raids, rods from your shipments, rods from pretty much your barracks all the time. So cheap to make and very speedy, so very mobile as well. Like very good against Ulans or Germany making Ulans, which is very hard to deal with. You know, Inca, for example, which don't have the most mobility. So I just feel like rods are just so good for Spain. Just such a good unique unit to have. And then of course the lances, skirmishes, and fast H3. Very good game. I agree. Very, very good game. Very good game. Oof. I'm sweating, but that was a wow, that was a match. I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. Like, both players are just so well matched. Like Lavendar is such a great player, but SoldieR just I always knew he's one of the best players, like for sure. And you can just see like how he plays. He's so good, so good. He's got some of that like old school knowledge. You can just feel it. But yeah, that's enough of me, man. I'm such a fanboy. I need to chill out. All right, 21k resources for SoldieR, 22k for Lavendar. So pretty surprising. We did say the Spanish goal was going to obviously play a factor in terms of eco differences, and I did expect it was going to be very close. And of course, having that Spanish goal in, giving him those extra resources, and also denying a lot of those villages with those skirmishes. Did you see how many villages he killed with those skirmishes? I really want to show you, because I feel like that's a very common thing that Spanish players do with the poking. You can just see here, one villager down here, two villagers over here, I think, or one villager, then two villagers here. So not the most villages, but still a lot. Who knows? These could have been settler wagons, I think, as well. So very impressive indeed. And I just seen so many Spanish players do the exact same thing. So it's like, it's kind of interesting to see. Villager population, which we already checked. Military unit population. So the first fight, kind of how do I read this graph? This one seems a little bit strange. We've got a long drawn out fight. 60 units for Lavendar, 55 units for SoldieR, a little bit of training going on here. Then the nice remass for Lavendar. I think it was those lances. And then SoldieR, maybe with Jaegers at one stage. I think that was the last thing to come in. No, the Jaegers I think came in over here. Those were the Ulans, I would assume. Very hard to read this graph, I can't lie. And then I guess that big fight in commence. SoldieR losing all of his Ulans, but then also losing all of his skirmishes. The Falconets just being so clutch. And then also the Lancer micro, very nice. There was even like one Lancer still alive towards the end of that first fight, pretty much. Yeah, kind of confused by this graph. I don't... never mind. Second fight, of course, very decisive for SoldieR. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that game. Is there anything else you guys might want to see? I think that might be everything. Of course, SoldieR, 57 units, or 57 Ulans trained, Ulan being his favorite unit. Lavendar training 56 skirmishes, which pretty much sums up what we said in the previous cast. Skirmishes just being so big for the Spanish player. 136 units in total. All of those rods that he sent in with that low XP curve. One thing to know about Spain is, which I learned recently, is that the Spanish, they actually get XP. They don't get XP faster. Their shipments actually just cost less XP. Therefore, that's why Spain is always so well known for having shipments always ready. But yeah, let's head into game number 3. But just gonna take a little breather real quick. Woof, that was quite a game. Yikes. Just gonna take a small breather, also a sip of water before we head into the next game. So SoldieR lost that game, meaning it's 2-1 for SoldieR. Hopefully that's correct. So yes, SoldieR doing a really good job. Lavendar, of course, managing to pull that last game back. And yep, gonna head into the next game on the map Dakota. But once again, just gonna take a sip of water real quick. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series so far. I mean, I definitely am enjoying this series. I always enjoy watching Lavendar, but SoldieR is just such a treat as well. I mean, great players playing against each other in Age of Empires 3. What else could you want on a Saturday, right? Very chill, very just sit back, relax, enjoy some games type of vibe, and let all the players do the work. And that is exactly what we're gonna do. And we're gonna see both of these players exhaust their brain power to the maximum. We have Lavendar versus SoldieR on the map Dakota in the third game. The fourth game, I apologize, of the series versus Career Management and Mandarin Duck Squad. I'm going to assume this is the Challenger series. I always kind of mix them up, so I don't want to say it, but I'm going to assume this is the Challenger series of both players. So now we see Aztec on the bottom side, played by SoldieR in the color blue, currently going ahead and herding in his Bison, also dropping down a community plaza as well as a marketplace, and also going to head over to the 25 XP and the 25 coin treasure. So really great job here picking up this treasure ASAP. I think it's very important that you get that XP faster due to the fact that now Aztec having, I would like to say, a very small XP curve as well. You're going to be able to get those villages in sooner, and also dancing with his warrior priest for XP, I'm going to assume. And yeah, he's going to get his first shipment in like no time. I would expect the shipment to come in any second now almost with that XP treasure. But yeah, on the top side, of course, we see Lavendar playing Germany, and we've seen him play Germany in H2 on the map Sanguine before. So we've seen him do very unorthodox things and just very old school things, and just actually coming out on top in those games. So I think it's something we can definitely look forward to, and Lavendar definitely very familiar with the Germans. Also, of course, now maybe going to just go ahead and get his marketplace ups, so getting his hunting dogs nice and early, as well as building the house, and also going to turn on the more info for you guys. Once again, this is a live game, and yeah, as you can see now, both explorers going ahead and kind of exchanging blows. I feel like the conversation here would be SoldieR saying, "My bat will win against your sword and your rifle, so please leave me alone so I can pick up some treasures." I feel like that would be very accurate. Aztec Explorer being very, very high in HP, but also very decent in damage. I'd like to assume you can see 400 HP for Dietrich Herder, as well as Ahu Zotu having 500 HP, and then of course a decent amount of attack as well. So this is pretty yeah, you can see SoldieR's being very, very aggressive in terms of deleting HP off of the German Explorer, and yeah, of course, sending in those villages nice and early, which we did see SoldieR send in due to the fact that he does have this community plaza up and the XP treasure in his inventory, should I say. So yeah, one thing about the map Dakota is that we of course have the Cree settlement, so able to train CDBs or Cree de Bois on this map. So 120 food being invested, and I think you can train a total of 12 or 8, something around that number. So a decent amount of them, could also be 6 to be honest. My brain a little bit overloaded at the moment, so I don't know exactly, but definitely decent amount of Chris's that you can, or sorry, CDB that you can train. Then of course on the other side you have the Comanche settlement, which allows you to have the Comanche horse breeding as well as the Comanche Mustangs. So you have the 10% in hit points with the horse breeding, and then you also have the 5% in speed with the Mustangs, and of course you're able to then train the Comanche horse archers. So very decent natives on this map, and it's also why it's a lot of people's favorite map, because you have great natives, you have great or fairly decent hunts. I feel like the hunts are quite difficult sometimes, depending on where they spawn. You can just see like the hunts are already over here, so it's quite tricky. But for some reason, I actually like these hunts more on this map than on other maps like Korea for some strange reason, which is just kind of awkward. So having the Bison in his base as well, but I guess it's just a good map. I think one thing about maps in general is just, I think due to the fact that this game doesn't have the best pathfinding or the best, unit control, and sometimes it's a little bit awkward, I think maps should be comfortable, right? I think if you play on a comfortable map, it kind of just relieves your brain. It's less stressful, whereas on a lot of maps, you have a lot of things going on. You have chokes, cliffs, different things, and it kind of just doesn't suit the foundation of Age of Empires 3, to be honest. So, yeah, I think people just definitely appreciate a more comfortable map. I'm a big fan of the Tassili map or the Tassil map of the African map pool, which has been added to the game and stuff like that, or even Sud or Savannah. So very comfortable maps indeed. But yeah, this is Dakota once again. Treasure being scouted by the Aztec side. So 4 bears he needs to kill to get that free villager, and we've seen this we've seen so many different versions of this villager treasure. We've seen it guarded by like 6 coyotes, 5 coyotes I think. Now it's guarded by 4 bears. We've seen it being right next to opponent's base, and so many different versions of where this treasure could be, but for now, I'm going to jump into some of the strategies of both players, and for now we see SoldieR, of course, H2 at a very decent time, of course, now dancing for more Warrior Priest, also has his War Hut being placed in the mid-map, being scouted by Lavendar, which you can see just right on time after building that trading post in transition, going ahead and scouting this War Hut, now kind of expecting that Aztec will play H2, getting his steel traps very nice and early, so almost identical time to the last game on the side of SoldieR. So SoldieR got the steel traps out at 4 minutes and 46, whereas Lavendar is getting it out at roughly like 5 minutes, or clicking on it at 5 minutes and maybe 1 or something. Also doing a great job at picking up a 70 food treasure. So Lavendar always kind of looking for bonuses, but I think the same could be said to SoldieR, now killing those bears with his Eagle Scout and his Bandit Rifleman, getting a free villager for it. So gonna bring his total of villagers up from 19 to 20, whereas Germany has, I would like to say 15. I don't know why it took me so long to I'd say 15. No, I'm wrong. 14 villages. I guess 16 villages with those 2 settler wagons. Hasn't actually sent in the villagers, so sending in the 700 wood first on the side of Lavendar, and also Puma Spearmen out on the field for SoldieR. So 5 Puma Spearmen coming out. These are, of course, pikemen units with high siege, but also, yeah, very high siege, 41 siege, but also they have a coin cost. So a lot of the units that Aztec likes to make cost wood and food. So the Coyote runners and the slingers cost food and wood. So not really something you see a lot of Aztec players make this early on, because you do have to gather coin for it, which doesn't usually suit the macro of Aztec. But in this case, he's just kind of going for it, making these Puma Spearmen first, but needs to be careful. Is he going to just suicide these Spearmen to get the barracks? No, he sees the Spearman of the German side, and yeah, it feels like that would just be a waste. And I don't think he might even get the trading post, to be honest. Then again, I say that 41 siege, if you compare that to a normal pikeman, that's 32 siege. So yeah, a lot more siege than a normal pikeman, which kind of makes him just so much better, I would assume. And maybe we can check out the hit points as well. 125 versus 120. Hand attack 12. So Puma Spearman just altogether being very decent. Very decent Spearmen, and I always thought the Plumed Spearmen were one of the best, but these are actually, they might actually take the cake right now. Nonetheless, double barracks out for Lavendar, double racks training pikes, and the fact that he's already got a double racks out kind of is indicating that he might just stay H2 for a very long time, I would assume. Also sending in the crossbows. I would say, yeah, 8 crossbows coming in after the 700 wood, and just looking to deny this base. And I like this play a lot. I feel like what he's doing right now is kind of sacrificing his eco to have a big unit mass. So he's going to be able to kind of take down this War Hut. It'd be similar when you're playing against India as well, where you just send in units, and then your opponent's kind of sending in crates or other stuff, and you just have more units, and it's very hard for him to deal with. So you're able to kind of burn down the aggro, and he's not able to defend because he's sending in other stuff whilst you're just sending in military units back to back. And yeah, with the 700 wood making units, with the double barracks, and also the 8 crossbows coming out, and also a double batch of crossbows as well, which for some reason I don't feel like he's going to complete, but it's the thought that counts, really. That's all that matters. It's not what you can do, it's what you want to do. Yeah, that sounded really... Alright, we're going to head on to something else. We're going to go and look and see what SoldieR's doing. So, did lose the War Hut in the mid section of the map, and now he's going to go ahead and rebuild that in towards his base. So, a nice defensive War Hut next to his town center. Going to kind of give him that extra defense, and just check out how many War Priests or Warrior Priests he has as of now. So, a fair decent amount of Warrior Priests, has 10 in total, also sending in the Slingers from his home city. And yeah, I feel like now SoldieR might just kind of focus on military, I guess. I'm not quite sure what his game plan was. He sent in the 700 wood, skipped the 5 vills, but also making like a very aggressive War Hut, which kind of doesn't really make sense, because if you make an aggressive War Hut, then and then you kind of play passive, it just doesn't, I don't know. But I guess SoldieR didn't want to play passive. It's just Germany was just too many units, and he didn't quite expect it. So this unit mass could have come out a lot sooner. He could have instead sent in, you know, the Slingers early instead of the 700 wood, which he did send in quite early after those Warrior Priests, which is also a very greedy shipment. And now he's not really got the mass, I don't feel like, to fight this, but I feel like he's just forced to fight pretty much. Not really, but he's going for it. The Slingers now completely getting exposed to these Hussar. The Coyote also slaying onto the Ulans, which only 3 Ulans left, but sorry, 3 Coyotes left, but a reinforcing 5 Coyotes do manage to come in just in time. But the Pikes still alive, now being microed down and focused by these slingers. Really, really nice micro control by both players. The Puma with more hand attack than these pikes, going to be able to make short work of these pikes, and I'm proven wrong. This was a very decisive fight for Aztec, and I guess you could see the strength of Aztec in H2. We've seen an identical play on a previous map, Ozarks, where we saw Aztec versus Germany, and you just saw like the Coyotes, the Slingers, the Puma Spearmen just so much better than the units that Lavendar can make with Germany, and you can just see it here. That fight, I thought SoldieR was going to lose that fight, but I couldn't have been more wrong, and I guess you also have to mention he's dancing for extra attack as well, so you can see a lot of 10 Warrior Priests dancing for 21% extra damage. So you can just see, we kind of missed it there, but 21% on Slingers with 8 range attack, as well as a 2x multiplier against the heavy infantry, and I guess the Coyote with, of course, a hand attack of 18, but no multipliers against infantry altogether. Just decent in terms of what they provide for their cost. But yes, I mean, this is quite interesting. I mean, I feel like it's just very hard for Germany to kind of win these fights because of the war dance. Like the warrior priests just give him 21% extra damage, and it can be increased as well. Like if he dances with villagers, the longer this game goes on, I think it's gonna get worse. But a little bit of a, I feel like SoldieR being a little bit overconfident here. He's just going right to the TC, fighting underneath the town center. This is horrible because not only is he fighting underneath Minutemen pops, but he's also fighting underneath 2 barracks, and he just took a good fight against a civilization that has usually a better eco than you. But now he's kind of denying all of that by taking a really bad trade here. I'd like to assume he does get a nice idle in the TC, which is good, but losing a lot of units here. But do we expect Aztec to be okay with this trade? Because his units are very cost effective. They do cost a lot less, like most civs in H2, so I think that might be okay, very similar to Russia. But all in all, I don't feel like that was necessary. Good idle there, but he could have also gotten a good idle with those Coyotes alone. So interesting that he just committed there to fight, and feels like that wasn't a good fight for SoldieR for some reason, but still managing to kind of retreat with his Puma Spearman, and of course with some of his Slingers, and even has the Tomahawk alive on 26 HP. Beautiful. You love to see stuff like that. Double marketplace being built, and I'm not quite sure why. I would assume maybe it could be A, a mistake. B, it could be to kind of act as like a, block this choke off. C, could be for line of sight. Or D, both of the previous above. You guys decide. I don't know. But for now, a lot of Puma Spearmen out on the field, as well as, of course, those Slingers. And yeah, I guess 39 Vils, dancing 4 XP versus Germany's 31 Vils. Does he send in the settler wagons? Yeah, he did send in the settler wagons, so a total of 36 Vils, I would assume. So yeah, very, very close in terms of resources. No trading post for either side, which is quite interesting. I guess Germany did lose his trading post earlier, and of course, might not rebuild it. Needs most of his wood for houses, and of course only has a limited amount of wood shipments. Doesn't have the infinite wood, which some civs do have. I think Germany could do with that, to be honest. They always kind of like to build houses in H3, just so much population space needed with some of their stronger unit shipments. But for now, very long H2 for both players, and you can see the score lead kind of increasing for SoldieR. SoldieR pulling ahead, I'd say 1,400 in terms of score, but it's going up and down constantly, so I don't think it's that accurate. Warhub being placed next to this Deer Hunt, and also going to secure him this side of the map as well. Ooh, look at this. We talked about the TPs, and now he's actually gone ahead and sent in the 3 trading post travelers. So I kind of felt like that was something that either player could kind of contest, or especially SoldieR, considering the fact that he does have, it feels like the edge. It almost feels like Lavendar's a little bit too scared to go out of his base after losing the first fight, which I feel like he felt like he won. That's what I think he was thinking. He was like, okay, I'm going to win this fight, but he actually lost that fight, and I do think it's down to that 21% extra damage that he did get on the side of Aztec. So maybe Lavendar just a little bit scared to kind of push out of his base now, and as a result, SoldieR very comfortable just claimed these 3 training posts, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes stagecoach as well, but still needs to make sure he keeps up in terms of making units, because one thing that Germany does have going on for him is the Ulan Mass and also the Doppelsoldner. So Doppelsoldner is kind of a pikeman unit, but with splash damage, so similar to Skull Knights or Macemen. And one great thing about the doubles, now Ulan's throwing out to the Coyotes, is that if you sneak them in without your opponent noticing, they can be devastating. They can wreak so much damage onto the lines of your opponent and just do so much work because of the splash damage that they do with the 240 HP as well. And yeah, these double stoners are just so good. And look at this, the Puma Spearmen are kind of caught off guard here. Even the Minutemen in the picture, combined with the crossbows, just gonna be able to do a lot of damage to the heavy infantry mass of Puma Spearmen. And yeah, the Ulan mass is very, very good for Lavendar. I did want to say the Ulan mass is definitely something that Germany has going on for him, because not only does he have Ulans to be trained, but he also receives Ulans for every shipment that he sends. And in H2, he's just sent in a lot of shipments so far, and is still sending in shipments. So just going to get those Ulans from every shipment that he gets. And yeah, just going to kind of give him that extra edge in terms of units or in terms of melee cav, kind of being the equivalent to a Coyote runner. Ulan being a unit that has low HP, but therefore high DPS, getting snared onto by, I think that was a scout. Was that a villager? I think it was a villager going down there, as well as a Puma Spearman. But I think if Lavendar trains more doppels with this unit mass that he already has, I think he's going to be very comfortable to kind of fight this, because the doppels are just going to destroy everything. Like, doppels have such great damage with the splash, like 20 hand attack with splash and then high hit points. Look at the Slinger's HP, 80 HP. There would be no better game to make doppels in my honest opinion. And then of course the Coyote runners, which is the same thing. They have low HP points, and one interesting thing about the doppels as well is that they have multipliers against shock infantry 2 times. So if that wasn't enough, like having 20 damage with splash, if that was enough, imagine like a 2 times multiply against Coyotes as well. So it's devastating. It's devastating, and you can just see Lavendar is spewing out confidence right now. He's just so confident. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and he knows he can do it. So for now, just gonna burn down some of these TPs and just kind of remass behind this as well. Also needs to kind of roam out of his base because he needs hunts. You can see his villagers are migrating during this entire fight, which is very common to see. And you can see he's trading Ulans versus his Puma Spearmen, but he's not too scared to do that because he's got this double stoners, which Soldier's scared of. He hates double stoners, and wow, you can just see the change in the fight with those double stoners, with the huge Ulan mass just kind of distracting most of those Coyotes, and alone the double stoners cleaning most of the Coyote, cleaning most of the Puma Spearmen, and now snared onto Coyote, and of course 2 Ulans still alive. Gotta clean up most of Soldier's army, and you can just see the difference there. Very curious to see the eco difference in both sides, because you'd like to assume Lavendar playing Germany has more eco than his opponent, right? The settler wagons from age 1 pretty much just being so good, you know, being 100% more than a villager, like double the worth of a regular villager from the get-go. So it's just very valuable. So you'd like to assume that Lavendar has the better eco throughout most of the game, but I mean, I feel like SoldieR also denied a lot of resources, right? Nice raids, nice idle and stuff like that. I'd like to hope, and I like to hope that also with the warrior dance, that he could kind of toggle this between the fertility dance, so you could then also maybe train villagers faster and get more villagers out sooner, and then kind of match the German eco. But I don't think he did that, which would explain why he got so wrecked in that one fight. Literally wrecked. Those double stoners just doing so much damage with their long sword. Oof. Speaking of a long sword, these Coyote runners now kind of trying to be massed up in small numbers, trying to deal with the crossbow mass as well as those Minutemen, which still are alive, by the way. So you can just see Minutemen with 26 range attack. That's a lot of damage. I'm just going to clarify, that is a lot of damage. Compare that to a crossbow, 16 range attack, and a Minuteman has 26. So if you're able to keep those Minutemen alive, they just can really do a lot of damage in a fight, and very hard to focus down sometimes. And on 1 HP alive 18 minutes into the game, and he popped those like 7 minutes ago. So just very cool to see Minutemen get the shine that they truly deserve. So oftentimes we underappreciate the Minutemen, so I feel like this stream should be dedicated to the Minutemen, if you ask me. But for now, a little bit of fighting going on. Also base being built in the middle, the war hut also coming out, as well as the outpost being built for Lavendar. So almost like both players trying to secure this hunt as well as the 5k coin mine. I know Germany are greedy, but look at this, very greedy, trying to get this war hut down whilst it's being built, I would assume. But the Coyotes getting a really nice pick off. We just talked about the Minutemen, and now they're all dead. Oh, they leave so soon. They die too young, so poor. Very upset about that. But wow, it looks like Lavendar just kind of trying to get a good trade on the right side. I think he may have smelled some villagers or something, and just getting distracted there, and soldiers kind of abusing that. And now the outpost going down to the Puma Spearmen, more Coyote being trained, and yeah, also some Tomahawks going down with some Puma Spearmen. So all in all, I mean, it looks like both players just really want to claim this mid area. Doesn't seem like both players have any hunts. You can see SoldieR doing the right thing here. This is quite beautiful. It's like when you just kind of build war huts. You don't necessarily need to train units out of the huts. It just kind of denies the hunt from your opponent, right? Building it here, and you can see it's annoying Lavendar because he wants to migrate with his villagers. He wants to get this hunt freely, also this coin mine maybe, but he can't when this war hut's there. I mean, this is, I guess, less scary. Ooh, town center big button being popped. Tried to stand to those Ulans, but just way too late. But is he gonna commit here? I feel like don't commit to this. This is horrible. Just sacrifice those Jaguars and just go back. I feel like this is terrible, but I feel like with that TC big button on his war hut, he just wants to go for it. And look at this, the doppels are completely out of position. The slingers will go ahead and just focus them down. They have multipliers against doppels, but nonetheless, the Ulans with a great micro just kind of switching positions, but the Puma are there in the front line doing a lot of damage. We see a lot of Puma in the tree line, as well as, of course, the slingers getting snared onto by the Ulan, but the tree line might save the soldier unit composition right now, and it seems like it is actually working. Most of the doppels do go down. Great micro by soldier. The patience, the amount of awareness he has to focus down those doppel sonars, all of them going down, not a single one surviving, now having a lot of units left, and this is taking an incredible turn, and maybe Lavendar just running out of resources as well, just getting denied a hunt over here, as well as a hunt in the middle, so not really being able to do that, losing his outpost next to that 5 coin mine as well. So this looked really good for Lavendar, but now it's actually looking really good for Aztec, and you can see the difference in terms of map control and the map gain, and just great micro by soldier in that last fight, just playing in the tree line, kind of just expecting the fight to kind of break out there, and just focusing on those doppels. They look to be so out of position, and the slingers just going to work with their low rate of fire, 1.5 rate of fire, just attacking us so fast against those doppels. But more crossbows being trained, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. Lavendar actually calling GG, and wow, that took a turn. Not something I expected. Germany looking really good there, but you know, once Germany runs out of resources, you can have the better eco all you want. Those settler wagons won't be able to do much when they have no food to gather from, or coin, should I say. Just look at how aggressive these villagers are being. Very aggressive villagers out on the field, very, very forward villagers. And yeah, you can just see how comfortable Soldier was to have that game. Even after that big push by Lavendar, almost like he had a huge window there. And he did everything right. Like, he won that fight, but I guess just running out of resources. And I would assume just Aztec doing a better job at kind of securing resources sooner with the war huts. And I guess also winning fights in the early stages. Getting good idols. But we're going to have to check. Also having crates of food as well. So yeah, Lavendar likes to say H2 with Germany. But I guess probably not the smartest thing to do against native civs, because I think the kind of the rule in today's series or in even previous series would be, I think native civs do a lot better than European civs in H2. Maybe that's a very, very ballsy comment to make, but it would also make sense. Like Aztec very strong, Haudenosaunee very strong. Let's just forget about Lakota a little bit. I'm not a big fan of H2 Lakota, but I feel like they're also very strong with the TPs. But then you also have, like, I feel like, maybe not say natives, but, you know, if you mix in Inca, if you mix in, of course, Aztec, missing out a few as well. Which one did I miss? Did I miss one? But yeah, I just feel like they're very comfortable in H2. That's what I think, as you can see here with the warrior dance and just the great unit mass. But for now, I'm going to show you some stats as well. 29k for Soldier, 28k for Lavendar, 16k food for Soldier, and you can see 13k for Lavendar. So you can just kind of see the difference in terms of food gain. Just Lavendar having a harder time in getting that extra hunt. I generally feel like Soldier had an extra hunt in terms of great herding and just gaining a lot of map. So therefore having more food, therefore having, you know, more units out. Whereas I think Lavendar struggled quite a bit, but I'm going to assume he has more coin. Yeah, more coin, AK coin, but coin doesn't really help you that much. I mean, if you're making Ulan, sure, but I think the coin would have been greater in H3 for the skirmishes. So H2 Germany doesn't, you know, coin is, but also low on wood as well. So maybe just want to check out the gathering rates in terms of wood as well. Can we see? Sadly, we can't see. I'd love to just see how fast the villagers of Lavendar gather wood from compared to the Aztec. I would assume it's the same, but you can never be sure. So military, 245 for Soldier, playing Aztec, obviously having kind of similar design to Russia and other civilizations, with just having a lot of cost-effective units, very cheap, so able to make a lot of units. 86, his favorite unit being the pikes. 77 crossbows, favorite unit being the crossbows, of course, for Lavendar. So also, yeah, a lot of crossbows being trained. Villager count, very close. I would assume this is villager count, so you do have to maybe check the villager population. There we go. So with the settler wagons, 57 versus 49. So quite impressive. Yeah, quite impressive how many villages he has more. But throughout most of the early game, it was quite close in terms of eco. Yeah, in terms of villager gain, should I say? I guess we can see the graph if we want to know anything about by eco. And yeah, actually was very close. Like SoldieR and Lavendar quite close in terms of gathering resources throughout most of the game, actually. So it's very surprising. Ooh, that's very surprising. Like, that is very surprising. Interesting. Interesting. So Lavendar obviously having the better eco of the settler wagons. Mid game, I think like 2k, 2.6k resources more. But I'm not quite sure. Oh, okay. SoldieR. I think SoldieR just did the fertility dance. And you have to imagine Lavendar also kind of skipped those 3 settler wagons earlier. He sent in the 700 wood first. So that's why his eco was kind of bad in the early stages. And the villager count was lower. I don't know. SoldieR. I don't quite get that. Kind of on par in terms of eco. Maybe it's just pure idle, pure resource gathering. I think that's what it was. Just pure idle, pure great herding, and resource gathering. That's what I would assume. But yeah, good game. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. Heading into the next game, also going to update the scoreboard as well. Yeah, just trying to break down some of these games, just trying to learn some stuff as well. Like, it just seems strange that Aztec would have the same amount of resources than Germany in the later stages. So, curious to see what you guys think about that one. But for now, we do see the score kind of favoring SoldieR at the moment. So, SoldieR playing for the Mandarin Duck squad, putting ahead 3-1 versus Lavendar. So, very, very impressive so far. And SoldieR's kind of, showing you guys why he's one of the best players in Age of Empires 3, and Lavendar doing the same. I mean, kind of trying to prove his point with his great plays as well. Just long H2 Germany is just not something you always see, especially not against Aztec. So, yeah, last game is going to be a treat. So I hope you guys are ready for this one. And for now, this is the last game of the series. Play all 5 series on the map Florida. Lavendar versus SoldieR. I wanted to do a nice deep voice there, but I'm actually almost losing my voice. So we're just going to go ahead and head into game number 5. And once again, thank you guys for being here. So a lot of things in the chat at the moment. Not quite sure what that's about. But hopefully you guys are enjoying this series. Let me know who you support. Are we for the Mandarin Duck squad? Let me hear the quack, 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 or let me hear the Cuirassier management. If you're for the management of the Cuirassier company, decide. Sorry. Alright, let's go to the game number 5 and check out some of these great players in live action. So once again, these are live games indeed, and also on the map Florida. So if you guys remember the last game of the last series we saw on this map, it was Brits against, I think, Japan or Ottoman. It was a very good game, and it was a very fast game. But for now, we have Lavendar, the one and only, the disciplined, playing Japan on the bottom side of the map, the bottom side of Florida, going for the, I would assume, maybe early hunting dogs from his, of course, his starting marketplace. So on Florida, you do receive a marketplace for free, and exactly that is the case. Hanami parties being researched, and also going ahead and building that consulate very fast as well. On the other side of the map, in the color blue, we have SoldieR, the most ambitious and intelligent. Currently 3-1 up right now, so definitely doing the most here. Building his house, also researching hunting dogs as well. If we switch over, you can see the settler wagons are affected by the hunting dogs. So both players using this map to its full potential. And are we going to see something else here? Are we going to see a little bit more? I don't know. Anything is possible. I wouldn't expect a trading post age 1 from Germany, but I guess livestock is very useful in here. I would expect SoldieR to maybe just, go very aggressive in terms of scouting, get as many sheep as he can, and just kind of walk home. Florida is a very good map in terms of water, so you have a lot of coin from the whales, but then you also have a lot of fish, so you might have to ask a very good and very well-known Age of Empire 3 player if this is a good water map. I would assume it is. I think it is a very good water map. I think there's a lot worse water. For example, Korea doesn't have the best water, seeing as it only has fish. One thing about this map as well is that you have the blowgunners. Wrong one. I think it's over here. So yeah, you have the blowgunners, which you can train. You also get the ambush party, which allows your explorers to make blowgunners. Then you also get the 10% action damage to archers. So if you're playing Brits, I think it's very good for your longbows. But then also the hand infantry all actions damage plus 10% as well. So very good text on the native post, which I think a lot of people forget to get on this map. So I wouldn't expect that SoldieR or Lavendar don't know about them. They're probably gonna definitely eye them up in the later stages of the game if needed. But for now, 80 food going to Lavendar, and also I would assume some more treasures being picked up, which luckily we can check. So we do see SoldieR picking up a 40 food treasure as well as 40 food treasure, as well as getting the hunting dose, which we already talked about. Lavendar picking up 100 food treasure and another 80 food treasure behind that, where SoldieR only picking up a coin treasure, but now actually picking up another treasure. So 35 food being gained for SoldieR. But so far, I think Lavendar is very decisively winning the treasure game right now, picking up 2 food treasures, 100 food and 75 food. That is decisive. And look at this, also getting the Portuguese consulate allies. So one thing about this tech is that it does decrease the cost of buildings, and it also decreased the cost of his age up. So instead of 800 food being invested into his H2, it costs 680. So very, very nice. And, you know, combined with 175 food, I mean, what else could he want right now? It's like a dream start for him, and actually picking up 4 sheep as well. So you can definitely see that the Japan player appreciates the livestock that this map has, and he's going to be able to make an in-base shrine with this 4 sheep livestock gain. Great scouting by SoldieR. If we turn on the fog of war, we can see he scouted a lot of the map, and there should be no excuse to not scout the map. Soldier's playing Germany. He has the most immobile explorer in the game, pretty much, right? Or one of the most immobile explorers in the game. And look how much of the map he scouted. He's scouted pretty much all of the map, almost, apart from this chunk, at 4 minutes into the game. That is impressive. I feel like SoldieR's scouting is really good. Like, really, really good. Like, you can see just from the start, he's already down here. I would still be ejecting villagers out of my TC, and he's already, like, scouted half of the map. This is so incredible, and I guess the same could be said about Lavendar if we switch over to Lavendar, but he does have 2 explorers as well as a cherry orchid, which he can kind of use to scout. In Travois form, similar to the Haudenosaunee. But look at this, Lavendar going ahead and building a wall, using this native site to kind of substitute this end of the wall, and looking to play in base Japan. And this is very, 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 very good. Kind of the most favorite playstyle of Japan. Make walls, shrine the map, have a decent eco, spam Yumi, or just create as many Yumi as you can and just take very decent trades. And that is exactly what I think he's going to be doing. But then also the Ashies being so good with their raids that they can kind of pull out the bag and just kind of balance out the score if needed. Nonetheless, SoldieR going for a very aggressive play here. So he's obviously aged up with the 400 wood, and he's built this outpost with his forward settler wagon, which we see right here. Also the barracks going up as well from that wood, which we did mention earlier. Getting the steel traps 5 minutes into the game, so still getting a very early steel traps with the starting marketplace, which I think is quite big, because that's 100 wood he would have had invested into the marketplace if he hadn't already started with it. So yeah, now being able to get the steel traps nice and early, as well as being very aggressive, now sending in the 8 crossbow, getting 2 ulan as well with those crossbow, and then also training a 5 batch of crossbow from his barracks. So you can just tell he's going very aggressive, not really having any anti-cav in his unit composition, which makes sense because you don't really expect. Wow, look at that. Oh my god, SoldieR doing the most right now, picking off a villager from Lavendar through the wall. That is some wallbang type stuff right there. Does SoldieR play CSGO? I don't know, but this is incredible. Wall snipe right there. Beautiful, and could actually go for another villager. Yeah, he's gonna go for the second villager again. So it looks like Lavendar getting raided. 2 villagers going down. He's just completely distracted with these ulans. Who cares about the ulan when you have the crossbow? Throw the ulan away. The crossbows are the new ulans in the German side. This is beautiful. 3 villagers down 6 minutes into the game. That is a good kill to death ratio indeed, if I've ever seen one, and I've seen a lot of German games before. So beautiful stuff so far. And behind this, sending in the settler wagons as well, so already gonna have a way better eco than Japan. But I say that, and we see a lot of shrines for Lavendar, and this is a lot of shrines. A lot of shrines. Wow, 11 shrines out in the field for Lavendar, and this is impressive. This is how I kind of expect Japan to be played, just like so many shrines as early as possible. And I guess with that 600 wood, I would assume, did he send in the 300 wood or the 600 wood? Let's just double check. 600 wood, there we go. So setting in that 600 wood nice and early. Heavenly Calming also sent in, reducing the cost of his shrines, of course, with the Portuguese as well. So his shrines will cost like 75, I think, in total. Yeah, 75 in total. So that's very cheap shrines, meaning he's able to make a lot of shrines. So very impressive indeed. So maybe not that hard of a game losing those 3 villages when you have that many shrines, right? Of course, then having the double 4 villager shipments, and then in H3, which he doesn't have the 8 villager shipments, or the 16 villager shipments, should I say. Also getting the Toshogu Shrine, which is very impressive. You can see 8 gatherers on the Toshogu Shrine, gathering 125 wood per second. So that's kind of the same as a distributivism trickle, if you think about it. That's the exact same, if I'm not mistaken, right? I feel like that might not be accurate. I don't know. I know the distributivism has 1.25, but I'm not sure if it's per second. But yeah, I mean, kind of giving you an idea on how great the Toshogu Shrine is. Not only is it a big shrine itself, but it also kind of boosts all of the nearby shrines, or any shrine on the map, should I say. You can see 0.56. If you compare the shrine to a villager has 0.77 food, whereas a shrine has 0.56 food. But enough of the, eco side. Let's go see what some of the action side is saying. So right now we see the alligator going down, which I guess isn't the most interesting thing. A dog is going to be rescued, but we also see a double TP for SoldieR. Also a lot of shrines being burnt down with these crossbow, which by the way don't have the best siege, 8 siege, so it's going to take him ages to burn down the shrine, despite these shrines being nerfed in the previous patches. So I think they did lose 400 HP in the previous patch. So going from 1,800 HP, if I'm not mistaken, to 1,400. It was either 400 or 200. So yeah, despite that, very hard for him to burn down these shrines. And I guess with crossbows, it's not the best thing to do. So might need to trade some pikes, but might just save up for an age up, to be honest, because he's picked off 3 builds. He's idled a lot. He's kind of forced Japan to kind of, do some H2 stuff, like send in the Yumi and just kind of play H2. And this is a great play by SoldieR. I feel like he's kind of baited his opponent to think this is going to be H2, where he's just aging behind this. And I'm going to assume he's not even going to send in the 600 coin. No, he did send in the 700 coin, my bad. So did send in the 700 coin to age up, which is okay, I guess. Now having a lot of food, a lot of coin available to him. Also getting the great codes from his marketplace, which very interesting. You can just see he's expecting those Ashy rates to kind of come through. We spoke about when Japan isn't in the greatest of spots. They kind of like to spam the Ashy Garu and go for raids and kind of trying to bounce back into the game. But I don't feel like a Lavendar can afford this right now. We can see 25 vills, so a total of 30 vills for Germany versus Lavendar's 32 vills with 19 shrines. So yeah, Japan's eco is way better than Germany's eco, and this could be a very good game for Lavendar if it goes on for long enough. Once again, this is a play all 5 series, and this is the last game. So whoever wins this, will take the last victory. And, SoldieR playing for the Mandarin Duck squad, Lavendar playing for the Korean Management. Korean Management being rank number 3, the Mandarin Duck squad being rank number 4. This is a very intense game. I think SoldieR needs 4 victories to go ahead and, pull his squad to the 3rd place. So if he wins this game, he's going to single-handedly bring his team up to 3rd place and steal it off of Lavendar's team. So Lavendar needs to win this game if he wants to keep his team in 3rd place. I like to assume. But this is going to be a hard game because SoldieR has killed a lot of villagers, has the inferior eco, but doesn't really matter when you've pretty much lost nothing and you're constantly denying the eco with, your pikes that you've now trained, and then you're also pushing the base of your opponent with stronger units. The skirmishes now out on the field for SoldieR, as well as the Ulans now coming in with every shipment that he sends in, and Lavendar's forced to stay H2, and this is kind of horrible because Japan loves H2, but they also love Torii Gates H2, which kind of boosts their units XP gain, as well as then sending in very strong cards like the Daimyo, which boost the aura of their units, boosting their stats. And he has none of that available to him right now, which is just so unfortunate. So H2 Japan is scary nonetheless, but I mean, not really scary when you're kind of playing against Germany, which is very strong in H3. You're losing a lot of shrines. You're kind of more economic focused. And yeah, it's just going to get awkward for him, I feel like. And now he's going to have to send in, some military unit shipments, which he doesn't even have. Like, he has Yumi archer attack, and other than that he has water booming stuff, anti-water, the 2 fumes, the advanced warship. So all of his cards are missing, which would make his H2 very, very strong, which is very unfortunate because now he would need it. The only thing he could really do right now is kind of switch the consulate to the Japanese, right? and then get that 7% attack damage increase, which would boost these musketeers and have, you know, bring their tally up to like 31 damage, which is very good, I guess. So total of 31 damage, which is decent, but will it be enough against skirmishes, which have decent amount of damage, 18 damage, as well as a multiplier against heavy infantry? I don't think it will. Also, the bonus range, which we didn't even speak about. So a little bit of awkward position here for Lavendar. Yeah, like I said, just stuck in age 2, and what is he gonna do? What is he gonna decide to do? And we see him make a stable training Nagis, which I guess makes sense. Sending in Funes for some reason, I guess. I see a lot of players do this, is where they send in the Funes prematurely before they even take water, because before you take water, you also need to kind of be able to defend water, otherwise you just lose it. So it does make sense. And other than that, what is he really gonna send in? I mean, he could send in the wood, I guess, but this is a horrible game for Lavendar, I feel like, and he's kind of got his back against the ropes, and I'm not quite sure what he's going to do now, falling behind 2k or 2.4k score. His eco is better, but for how long? He's losing shrines all over the map, and I love the patience from SoldieR. I love the fact that SoldieR just goes for a fast H3, but is now kind of idling all of his units, which he did send in, surprisingly. So instead of sending the 1k wood, he actually sent in the skirmishes, actually sent in the 1k coin first, so nonetheless, actually doing the right move here. I was going to say, if he sent in the skirmishes first, that would have been horrible, but actually sent in the 1k coin first and the skirmishes after, but I feel like he could have even sent in the wood as well, if he's going to burn down shrines. So yeah, kind of just giving all his H3 momentum to burning down these shrines, but maybe also realizing that he's got a lot of time just keeping his opponent just in H2 for so long with those raids. And he also sees like now the unit composition of Lavendar, so he kind of knows that Lavendar is going to be H2. He must assume that Lavendar is not going to be able to age up behind this just yet. He probably will be saving for it though. You can see Lavendar as a temp just going to make double docks and spam these fishing boats just to kind of increase his eco due to the fact that he also now is losing shrines. So a nice play by SoldieR, denying a lot of eco. He was 200 pop in terms of shrine on this side, but still 200 pop on this side. So you can just see, like, did SoldieR actually gain anything there? I feel like SoldieR literally just burned down all these shrines, lost pretty much all of his early H3 in terms of momentum, and Japan just kind of now has the same amount of shrines, and on top of that has a double dock. I guess he did lose a lot of resources in terms of trickle rate, but then again, those shrines are quite tedious to burn down with skirmishes. So I'm not quite sure, and he only had 5 pikes. I'm not sure if that was worth it for SoldieR. What do you guys think? But he is H4 now, which makes sense because sending in that 1k coin, and then of course not really doing much, now being an age ahead or 2 ages ahead. I think this is a beautiful play by him. He just has a lot of momentum going on, kind of just outplaying his opponent, always just kind of 1 step ahead, or in this case 2 steps ahead. But I do feel like Lavendar is going to age up very, very soon. Yeah, he has, wow, I say very soon, but look at this. He's so far off in terms of coin. This is scary. Is he going to focus the whales? No. He's got 37 vills on food and 6 on coin. So a huge miss macro here. He does have the 600 coin that he can send, but I feel like at this point, your XP gain is so slow. Like, his XP is coming in so slow. He even has a TP, and he's constantly building shrines. But just XP is just not there for him, is it? Sent in so many shipments already. 4 vills, 4 vills. The rendering plant, 2 H1 shipments. So send in the enlist and regulars, by the way, which is the CM card for Japan. Big fight, almost about to break out. Almost missed that. Woof, that was close. But yeah, nothing much happening. We saw 2 Nagis now dead on the floor. But yeah, this is gonna be it's gonna be an interesting one indeed. And I mean, H4 against Germany, like H4 Germany against Japan in H2. I wouldn't be surprised if Japan wins. I literally wouldn't be surprised. But I just feel like the 2 Falconers, the War Wagons, the Ulan Mas, now also being H4, you can upgrade them as well, obviously. Could also send Cav combat on these Ulans, which I feel like he should do. It's just going to be so big. But the 2 Falconers, I think, are just going to be so huge. Any Civ in H2 just, wow, struggle against artillery. But talk about struggle. These villagers are going to struggle against Nagi Natas. Even the War Wagons, even though he has great coats on his villagers, that is a horrible trade. And he just saw the army of Lavendar. So I'm surprised that raid even happened. Almost like a shark coming out of the water there. You see his fin, but you're never sure when he's going to attack. And just a very explosive attack there. I feel like that both players, I think explosive is my favorite word to use when describing these players. They're just so explosive. Like one minute they're just chilling, next minute they're just going crazy, pretty much killing units and doing the madness. But yeah, a lot of villagers going down there. 32 villagers. A settler wagon is well going down there. If we check, we can see SoldieR currently has For some reason, it doesn't work, but I would assume losing 1 settler wagon, so 4 settler wagons, so a total of 36 bills. But just a horrible fight from SoldieR, losing a lot of skirmishes there from the Nagis, but has the war wagons and the Ulans available. But I feel like he needs to be careful. He's almost like he's just kind of like 1 step away from throwing this game almost, which is kind of surprising, but waiting for that CR to come in. So counter infantry rifling, gonna give his skirmishes the extra multiplied damage versus heavy infantry. So you can see previously was a 2 times bonus against heavy infantry, now it's a 3 times bonus. So these skirmishes is gonna do a lot of damage versus, of course, the Ashigaru mass. But I mean, I thought this game was gonna be a really easy game for SoldieR, but SoldieR now kind of, I mean, he went for H4. That's good. But now he's kind of just... His eco is a lot worse than the Japan side. He's kind of just chilling in his base, giving Japan all the time. Not that he wants to give Japan time, but he can't fight. Like, he's giving Japan so much time by going H4. And now he's just like... He's in a really weird spot. But I think he's okay because he realizes Lavendar is still H2. So as long as Lavendar is still H2, he still has time to kind of just mass up, get all his upgrades, maybe train more falconets and stuff like that. And just looking for that timing, I think. He doesn't really care about the eco, I don't think. He's just looking for that one big timing. He's probably going to send in mercenaries, I would assume. No, sending in the factory. Interesting. I would have expected maybe to send in the Black Riders or some Jaegers or something like that. But I'm sure he's going to send that in next. I guess he just feels like he has a lot of time. 2 factories will be up for him, which definitely will help him in terms of eco. Also getting the second town center as well with the... I was going to say 1k wood, but didn't even send in the 1k wood. Losing 2 Nagis there, trying to raid this villager. Does stay alive, and now Lavendar H3. Will we see a reaction of SoldieR? Doesn't seem like it, just burning down shrines. Also, the Corvins are ready for those flaming arrows, but just doesn't feel like SoldieR's comfortable. And looking at the score, Lavendar now pulling ahead. That water boom, very decisive. You can see Lavendar currently on 93 bills, and now his boom is in progress, and this is scary. Japan with full C and a 200 pop in shrine population with Heavenly Kami as well as Toshogu Shrine. I don't think Japan gets more scarier. I think one thing that does would make this a lot scarier is H4 Japan, but this already is looking very scary, very, very scary. I would be doo-dooing myself right now in my diaper if I saw this. Lavendar H3 full eco, maximum amount of villages versus Germany, 1 age ahead. Not the best eco, definitely not the best eco compared to Lavendar. So yeah, this is gonna be... Oof. This is going to be a big one. This is going to be a huge fight indeed. And I'm very curious to see how it breaks. And if it breaks. Both players just hovering around each other. You can see Lavendar is kind of giving his position away slightly. Just showing what he has. Just a little glance. I don't think he cares too much because even if he loses all of these units, I think he's just going to have a lot of remass potential. But for now, just kind of hiding in the trees. Maybe looking for, you know, a nice opening. A nice little... tree line fight we saw in the last game. Tree line definitely saved the day for the Aztec versus those doppels. But wow, look at this explosive attack from Lavendar, going for it, sees the falconets and is just going out of the woodwork, killing some of these falconets, trying to kill some of these falconets, but they're half HP, still alive. The Ulans are there for SoldieR, now going to be faced up against these Nagis, which are upgraded. The war wagons in the backline going to be able to wreck these Nagis so decisively, and now the cannons are going to do their magic. The cannons are going to go ahead and do a lot of damage to most of the infantry mass of Japan. But I mean, this was a great fight for SoldieR, if you ask me, and it feels like Lavendar just is lacking the artillery. He needs flaming arrows. He needs something to deal with those artillery units of the German player, and he just doesn't have any answer to that. He does have, of course, the shipments in his deck, H3, 2 flaming arrows, 2 times which he can send in, so a total of 4 flaming arrows. And will we see that next? It almost seems like a waste to send this in, like with such a stable eco. Like, just look at his resources right now. I want everyone to just take a look at the resource gain. This is incredible how much resources he has incoming. It feels like any shipment that he sends in H3 is almost a waste. So I feel like all he should do is send in upgrade cards. Pretty much anything else is a waste. No unit shipments. Just way of the bow, maybe close combat, anything. And then just drop down maybe a castle and start training flaming arrows. I feel like he needs flaming arrows, but instead going for the Yabuzama, so kind of just looking to kill the cannons. Maybe that's, you know, great, but he's making Yabuzama versus a lot of war wagons. So one thing to note is that I guess this would kind of be the equivalent. Yabuzama is light range cav, but they have more focus on artillery. So you can see they have a 7 times multiplier against artillery, whereas War Wagons are kind of just really good against not only artillery, they also have a 2x multiply against artillery, but they also very good against pretty much anything. I feel like anything apart from skirmishes, but H4 War Wagons, I think they get quite gnarly, especially when you send in cards for them. I think they actually get quite ridiculous and actually can trade quite well against light range infantry units. For now, constant fighting going on, but I mean, SoldieR just kind of in a weird spot, sending in the Jaegers, which I like quite a lot. And we saw in the previous game, Germany was actually able to win against Japan, being in an identical spot. However, the only thing that is different from this game and the other game that we watched between Alligator and Dark Major, or Major Dark should I say, was the water difference. So there was no water in that map, or on that map. So Japan had a lot lower eco gain. And yeah, Germany was able to win, but will we see another victory for Germany? It seems like it's going to be very hard, but it also seems like it would be possible. Now training horse artillery, which is the perfect unit to make. These units are actually going to destroy the infantry mass of Japan. But look at this, Japan being 2 ages behind, now going H4 himself, and his eco just being so good, able to just come back into this game. It was looking so bad for SoldieR, but SoldieR gave him so much time, and now he's gonna pay the price for it. He does have the Jaegers, but the Yumi are there, and all Lavendar feels, all Lavendar needs to do right now is get rid of the artillery and just keep making units. Keep making units and get rid of the artillery, but the Yamazama now being suicided, trying to take these horse artillery out. Can't even see them because they're in between the War Wagons, but the Yumi gonna take out most of the War Wagons as well. 650 HP on those War Wagons. Now the Yabasama being put into melee mode. I love that. They also have, of course, multipliers in melee mode, I would assume, like most units do, taking out a lot of horse artillery, but Falcon is still alive, and I guess this was a great trade for Lavendar because you have them. Wow. Where did those flaming arrows come from? The 4 flaming arrows just appearing out of thin air. Did they just resurrect from the swamps? What is going on right now? Now the Hussars being trained, the winged Hussar being sent in age for SoldieR, and a lot of back and forth. 6k score lead for Lavendar, and this could be good for Lavendar, because as long as he just plays behind his walls, he can just kind of deny the HP of these Hussar and just look to maybe remass and make more units. But his remass kind of looking really poor here. What is he doing? I mean, he's training from... Oh no, he's training from 2 barracks. That is a big mistake. You can see as a result, building another 2 barracks. Yeah, you need those barracks, my friend. You need to make another barracks because your eco is just so good, and you need the remass. You just need to kind of outspam your opponent. You have the better eco, so I feel like you also have the better units at this point. You can see now the Honored Yamazama coming out, as well as the Honored Yumi, and this is go time. I said one scary thing that could be added to Lavendar's already very scary eco is age for Japan. I feel like they scale very well in terms of eco, but also in terms of military. Very good units. You can just see the stats: 34 range attack, 3 rate of fire, 20 range on these Yumi, and 165 HP. And I mean, just absolutely wreck most of the units that Germany has, and all of these Yabazam. Oh no. SoldieR, all of his horse artillery completely out of position. The War Wagons kind of just idle. You have to imagine 24-minute game, and is SoldieR going to resign here? Is he just going to give up? He has the winged Hussar kind of out on the field, but the Jaegers and the Guard War Wagons just completely out of position and losing so much there in terms of value. And you can just see the score shifting towards Lavendar's side, and at this point I feel like Lavendar is in a very comfortable position, and you know, he is faced up against Winged Hussar and only has Yumi, but with all of these reinforcing units coming in, I think he's going to be very, very far ahead. Wow, that was a lot going on there, but just if you see some of SoldieR's behind the scenes right now, we can see he was probably making mills during that fight, just kind of focused on the shrines, and it's very hard to play against Japan because you can see those shrines were just such a big deal. Like, SoldieR was so far ahead in the early game. Like, H3, he could have just easily pushed the base of Japan, killed vills, idled, and then also just kind of put 5 pikes on the shrines, and then kind of also done the same thing that he did anyways. But instead, he just gave Japan all the time. He didn't even idle him. He didn't do anything. He just kind of just burned down the shrines and gave Japan all the time to go full water and just kind of go H3, H4. And now you have it. Now you have the punishment for doing that. And it's just really frustrating as well to play against Japan because you're never sure what to do. Do I kill the shrines, which is basically half his eco with the Toshogu Shrine and the Heavenly Kami, or do you just not do that and push the base? And in this game, the answer would be push the base and just forget about the shrines, because at the end of the day, the shrines will rebuild anyway. The irregulars coming out, the CM card was sent in for Japan, so you can just see him using that 25 minutes into the game, sent that prematurely, didn't even need it. And now we see the rest of those war wagons going down, as well as those winged hussar going down. And yeah, this is just Japan H4. Japan is just so good. One of the strongest civilizations in the game. There's no question about it. And you have to imagine, like, the Ashis are the strongest musketeers in the game. You have so many techs for them. You have so many cards for them. You have the auras for them. You have the consulate for them. It's just like the list goes on, and the same can be applied to Yumi and Nagis as well. And also being able to train daimyos, H3, H4, even H2, I think. And they also respawn. Like, the list goes on. So you don't really want to play H3 or 4 Japan unless you're playing a really strong civ yourself. And I don't feel like Germany is one of those civilizations that can kind of win against Japan late game. I think a good civilization would be maybe India. I think India could be very good against Japan. Nonetheless, good raid coming in these Ulans. I love the fact that Ulans are kind of just really good at raiding. Like, even with USA, when you see them sending the Kapitska Ulans, they just instantly raid with them. They don't even use them in the fight. They just go raid. Just so good at raiding. And you can see a lot of villages being deleted there. Also on the other side as well, farms now going to be idle. And yeah, this, I guess, is a really good move. I mean, when you're a little bit behind, you should go for the raids. And I feel like SoldieR is gonna maybe try and bounce back into this game. A lot of people might assume this might be over, but you have to imagine SoldieR is playing Germany, has settler wagons, and has full eco pretty much. And I guess there's only so much he can do, really. Like, what else could he do? Literally, he could just maybe get his eco a little bit more refined with the plantations, but he has the 2 factories out, and I guess still has kind of the lead in terms of the techs. So his H4 lost sooner than his opponent, therefore of course sending in, you know, more shipments H4 than his opponent, the factories and stuff like that. But I guess eco falling behind, and just gonna play H4 Germany versus H4 Japan, and I feel like he could still maybe win. I mean, anything's possible. He could maybe just find a way to deny a lot of villages for Japan, and the water's gonna run out, so it's gonna only be coin left. And I guess, you know, having max villages also means you can't have max army. So I don't know. I'm not gonna rule out SoldieR in this game, and you know, judging by how he's played this entire tournament, or this entire Premier League series, I think it's safe to say that SoldieR is just such a good player. And yeah, you definitely can't count him out. Now training more war wagons, and we talked about the strength of the war wagons. I feel like they're going to be really good. Now sending in the cavalry cuirass, or having the cavalry cuirass on the war wagons as well as the cav combat, just bringing their total hit points up to 725 with 65 range attack. So just really good against pretty much anything at this point. Able to tangle off damage, but oof, now a huge counter raid coming in for Lavendar. And SoldieR, this is not something you want to be having to face against. So if he wants to, you know, have a chance in this game, he definitely needs to keep those villages alive. So walling would have been necessary, and also maybe denying water. But yeah, I think with those caravels, just wasn't able to do it. And of course, now losing a lot of villagers, and actually might be GG here. We have to see. Japan just too much right now, and Lavendar with the full water, even having the Tekosun out as well, and just pretty much full eco established. And just look at the resource gain. I have the resource per minute up, and you can see 3k resources in terms of food per minute. Incredible game. But yeah, I mean, someone said this was long over, but I don't feel like it was long over necessarily. I feel like there was a small window for SoldieR to take a good fight, and then kind of scale from there, and just kind of keep going. And you can see the remass of Lavendar was very, very bad because he didn't have any military production buildings. So it could have potentially, there was like maybe I feel like a 22% chance that he could have won that in the later stages. But just Japan so strong, and yeah, water very strong indeed. Water very strong indeed. And looks like SoldieR wasn't able to take the 4th game. Lavendar managing to take, the 5th game, 3-2 for the side of the Mandarin Duck squad. But I feel like they're going to be very happy about that result. So, yeah, make sure you, quack, 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 if you are for the Mandarin Ducks and you're very happy with SoldieR's performance today. And I think I think he played very well. And if you are very impressed with Chris's management, company's, you know, performance, Lavendar playing Japan in the last game, doing the most there, looking very poor in the early stages, and now in the later stages actually doing a really good job. Then let me hear the murr. What a game. That was a beautiful game from both players, a very drawn out game, 30-minute game, and just kind of showcasing the strength of Japan in the later stages. And of course, just the shrines. Like, I think every player that doesn't play Japan just hates the shrines because it's just so hard to deal with. And you could, it's great to see that even like high level players struggle against the shrines. Like, do I go for the shrines? Do I not go for the shrines? Do I go for base? Do I not go for the base? It's just a hard decision to make because logic just doesn't exist when it comes to the shrines. And wow, 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 wow! Look at the resource difference right now. incredible. And yeah, as to be expected, full water as well as full eco for Lavendar with in terms of shrines. And these weren't your in-base shrines with no hunts. You can see through the screen, all of these shrines have the maximum amount of gatherers on them. So very impressive. And I guess Lavendar just playing an absolute disgusting and beautiful Japan at the same time. Military 187 for SoldieR and 280 for Lavendar. Ulan's being his favorite unit, and of course Ashigaru being a musketeer unit, being Lavendar's favorite unit. Very strong unit indeed. Actually having more XP, I guess, towards the end of that game over that fighting that he won. So despite his XP curve looking very poor throughout most of the mid game, actually having more XP in total in the later game. Villager count, you can see Lavendar being ahead throughout most of the game. I feel like he was ahead in terms of eco most of the game, just with those shrines to the Shogu, the Portuguese allies and stuff like that. But just slightly, Germany just, I feel like, do very well in H3 still with those settler wagons. If we check out the population, you can see it's on par. I guess you would have to account for the shrines. So maybe not. I think Lavendar would be, I don't know, maybe up here, roughly. But then just pulling ahead later on with of course the villagers. Also with the Golden Pavilion, we didn't even mention that. I'm so sorry. Golden Pavilion upgrade or age up for Japan, and then age for the Shogunate, which I guess you guys did see. Golden Pavilion being kind of like an arsenal. The Shogunate also giving him, I think, XP as well as the Shogun, which do increase the stats of his units. And then of course the Engineer for SoldieR age 4, which does give him the 2 Falconets. H3 was the fast age up, which we did mention, so I apologize that I didn't see that. But there was so much going on in that game, so it's very easy to miss. You can check out the military unit population. So at one point, SoldieR was peaking, I think, early H3. Let me just see. Early H3, I feel like around here he should have pushed the base of Japan. Because I think Japan, when he goes eco-focus builds, he's not very good in H2. He's still very good, but not as crazy as it would be if he's like on Torii Gates, Shogun, 2 Musketeer attack cards with Yumi attack card or something ridiculous, and then Japan Consular Ally. So I think he could have definitely poked the base of Japan in early H3. Doesn't have to end the game, just poke the base, kind of kill vills like he did with those crossbows, and then just kind of scale to H4 a little bit better, and then go for a nice push there. But he's just kind of like idle in his base, trying to burn out shrines, giving Japan so much time, and Japan's just going to use that, like use and abuse that. And you can see with the 2 docks completely using that time very wisely. I guess if it was a land map, it would have been better for SoldieR. I think if it was a land map, SoldieR would have won that game, I would assume, because H4 versus H2. But seeing as the water was available to Lavendar, he was just able to get that full sea eco very early. And then I guess constant fighting, Japan just so much fighting going on, and just kind of better eco can always just remass and remass and remass. Didn't really have a big fight towards the end, really. I mean, we had this one fight, but wasn't that decisive. But yep, that's the game for now. 5th game on the way. So once again, this was a play all 5 series between some incredible players, and it's been a great time. I mean, we've learned so much about these players in general. Like we've learned that both players are very explosive, both players are very comfortable in fighting, great micro, great decision making, and SoldieR is incredible, Lavendar is incredible. I don't know what to say. I mean, easily some of my favorite players for sure. I have a lot of favorite players, you guys might have noticed, but I mean, beautiful games to watch. Like the first 4 games, or the first 2 games even, were just so great. I mean, so much action going on. But for now, that was all games so far. So I hope you enjoyed this series, and it's only going to get better. So I hope you guys enjoy. And of course, ESOC puts a lot of effort into all of these tournaments, all of these Premier League series, and so on and so forth for you guys. I know you guys used to say live games was something that you wanted, and here we have live games. Every single game we watch is live. So big shout out to ESOC, and also thank you so much for all the support in terms of helping ESOC as well, kind of just keep up in terms of making these tournaments happen as well as these series happen. So it really does help. So thank you so much for all the subs. Thank you so much for all the followers. Thank you so much for being here. And also big shout out to the players. Once again, big shout out to SoldieR, and big shout out to Lavendar. 2 incredible players bringing Age of Empires 3 alive. But for now, the series is over, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hopefully will see you guys in the next one. And like I said, just gonna get better and better and better and better. So I hope to see you very soon, and that's me out. Lena is my name, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great evening, have a great day, and once again, peace out. Big shout out to Hattori, big shout out to Yoda Homer, big shout out to the Jazz, the best in the world. Big shout out to Black Duke, huge shout out to Harrison, shout out to Risotto, and I'll see you guys soon.